Seattle, Washington, a great place for the return of Pac-12 baseball, our first of more than 95 telecasts this year. And today here at the newly renamed T-Mobile Park, the home of the Seattle Mariners, we've got the second-ranked Oregon State Beavers and the 16th-ranked Coastal Carolina Chanticleers Pac-12 baseball, presented by Opus Bank. And hi, everybody. Along with former Major Leaguer Kevin Stocker, I'm Rich Burk. Oregon State, the defending College World Series champions. Coastal Carolina won it 3 years ago. This is a great matchup.
Well, it is. And remember, when you do a tournament like this at a facility and stadium like this, you want the best teams, and that's what you got. Even Coach Gilmore from Coastal Carolina, he was commenting on, hey, this was a last-minute thing for us, but I couldn't pass it up because of the talent.
Yeah, it's so good. And speaking of talent, how about Adley Rutschman of the Oregon State Beavers? He might be the top pick in the June draft.
Well, when you look at Adley, he's done a lot of things, but for me, it's about growth since he's been a freshman. Two things. One, offensively, he's gone from being a run creator to a run producer, and that's from making adjustments in his swing. That is not easy to do. The other thing is just the leadership that he brings to the team. You and I will talk about it today. The guys around him love him. They look for him, and his maturity level in front of the camera, he embraces all that attention, and I think it's really been good for the team.
And you talk about leadership. There's a new man at the helm for Oregon State, Pat Bailey, first season as interim head coach, taking over for the legendary Pat Casey.
You know, not a lot is going to change when it comes to philosophy. He really is just like Pat Casey. Both of them are about creating young men more than young baseball players. For that, it creates continuity, so the guys just pick up right where they left off.
Coastal Carolina ranked number 16 in the country. This team can hit, and it starts at the top of the lineup with second baseman Corey Wood. Well,
that's the thing. They all hit. They have 7 or 8 guys in the lineup that hit over 300, right? But it starts at the top. And when you talk to Coach Gilmore, he said, this guy is our heart and soul. He's a grinder. One thing that he does, he's done it since he was a freshman, is he gets the most out of his ability. I take that as someone not only mentally, but also physically. The guys look to him at second base to carry that load.
Yep, he'll be their spark plug. Hey, later on tonight, we've got Minnesota and Washington at 7 o'clock. In the meantime, Game 1 of the doubleheader, Oregon State, Coastal Carolina. Starting lineups and first pitch coming up from Seattle. Pac-12 baseball is presented by Opus Bank, the official bank of the Pac-12 Conference. And brought to you by State Farm, here to help life go right. Well, there it is, formerly Safeco Field, now T-Mobile Park. We have the pleasure of having the first ever telecast from the newly renamed ballpark. And it is the Oregon State Beavers against the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. And there's the starting lineup for Oregon State. The visiting team today, Alex McGarry will play first base for the second time. He'll lead off for the third time. They've got Adley Rutschman now in the 2-hole. Then Bo Phillip, excellent newcomer at shortstop. He's a junior college transfer. Then Tyler Malone, Preston Jones, Joe Casey, Ryan Ober getting another start at second base, Troy Clonch at DH, Andy Armstrong at third. They'll be taking their hacks against left-hander Garrett McDaniels, a true freshman.
Fastball, sinker, real good curveball and changeup. And when you say true freshman, that is the one issue. What I mean by that is freshmen tend to have a hard time finding the strike zone. That's when he gets into trouble. I know Coach Gilmore loves his arm, though. Once he starts throwing strikes, he's going to be right there.
Off and rolling on this Sunday afternoon. Game 1 of our doubleheader here on Pac-12 Network. 7 o'clock tonight. It'll be Washington against Minnesota. Alex McGarry hitting .409. And this weekend he's leading off for the first time. 3 for 9 in the 2 games prior. Oregon State beating Minnesota 2-1. That was on Friday. And then they beat Indiana 8-3 yesterday. Great game on Friday as they knocked off the Golden Gophers. Grant Gambrell, Kristen Chamberlain pitched well, and Adley Rutschman, of all people, a 2-run home run in the 6th inning for their only offense.
Well, it's part of that run producer attitude he has now. And it was a good game. You know, Friday night, Rich, was freezing up here. I mean, it's like those night games have been 37, 38 degrees and cold. Today is amazing. This is a great time. I suspect it'll be cold again tonight.
McDaniels to McGarry, and the count full. Garrett McDaniels making his 4th start. He is from Nichols, South Carolina, went to PD Academy. And the payoff to McGarry. Stroke toward right. Wright on the move. Jake Wright, the right fielder, picks it up, and McGarry into second base. And for the newcomer, the transfer from Tacoma Community College, the beat continues.
The beat continues, and him leading off, it might be something that he sees more and more. Lefty against lefty. And finally, Garrett has to come into the zone. That's what happens when you drop behind. That's a way to lead off the game. This is kind of where they picked up off last night. Oregon State took a little while to get things going yesterday, and then they got hot and the bats started rolling.
Third double this year for McGarry. Has one home run. He had an infield hit on Friday before. That guy hit the 2-run home run that provided the 2-1 win. Adley Rutschman, junior from Sherwood, Oregon. Last year led the Pac-12, hitting .408. This year he's only at .390. What's going wrong?
Slower start, right?
Yeah.
You know what's going on is last year he started out of the box hot as a pistol, but didn't have any home runs 12 games in. This year he's got 12 games in, even though that was a few games ago. He had 6 home runs versus last year's 0. That tells me, again, he's starting to lift a little bit more, swinging the bat, trying to produce some runs, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And they've got him in the 2-hole here, so moving up. The stat heads will like it because he's getting more at-bats, but he's going to see better pitches to hit.
Well, just to see pitches, he's been getting walked, intentionally walked a lot.
That's Corey Wood, the second baseman. Pulls the first baseman off the bag. An error on Corey Wood, and the Beavs are in business. First and third, and nobody out.
You know, I asked Coach Bailey before the game about hitting Adley in the 2-hole, and you can see he's trying to go the other way here. Tough throw, but he said, you know, he's been getting walked and intentionally walked. We want to get him more at bats. This is an interesting situation like that, though. Man on second, you know, Rutschman's going to try to move him over. That's baseball, right? That's the question: is do you want him to do that, or do you want him to try to drive in the run? I can tell you at the next level, he'll be driving in that run at the 2 spot, no doubt about it.
That would make the most sense. Drew Thomas, the pitching coach, going out to the hill. Coastal Carolina 13-3. They're 1-1 here. They lost 8-5 against San Diego on Friday, and then they beat UW last night 5-2. This is their 8th game in 10 days, Stock.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
a major league schedule.
So they played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, off Monday. They went Tuesday, Wednesday game, and from what I understand, they barely made their flight in Atlanta. It was like a race to the airport. Took a long flight Atlanta all the way to Seattle. Played the next day, 38 degrees. They went from 70 to 38 degrees.
Games here, 3 games here, and then they head off and they're going to go to Clemson, right?
That's right. Right off the plane.
There's Bo Phillip, immediately the freshman. McDaniel's in trouble. Middle infield, McKeon and Wood at double play depth. Off speed misses. Bo Phillip, another junior college transfer like McGarry. Phillip out of San Joaquin Delta Junior College in Stockton, California. He had .354 there last year with 10 home runs, and has picked it up here at D1, though this weekend he is just 1 for 9. The shot on one hop off the shortstop, McKeon. McGarry scores 1-0 Oregon State. Everybody's safe. That is going to be a base hit for Phillip. It's a play that a D1 shortstop, and I'm sure McKeon would agree, would need to make. That ball was hit hard. That's got to be a double play.
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing about this is you're already playing double play depth, and so the ball reaches with heavy topspin. It reaches the dirt, so it can be a little tricky. That's the problem. He tried to square it up, which I appreciate. It just did not help him as far as bouncing to center field. And that's, again, a guy like Garrett McDaniels. He's in a big park right now, big stadium. He's on the road. Could have really used that double play.
Now Tyler Malone hitting .296. 5 hits and 18 at-bats. Malone limited action last week as the Beavs were at home against West Virginia. He tweaked a hamstring, nothing serious. Bo Phillip picked up his 16th run batted in. That's a load considering that he had spent the bulk of the season so far hitting in the leadoff slot.
Right. Well, yeah, you certainly know he wasn't going to stay there. One thing about with Malone, you know, he's learning to play a new position. Right field is not a normal position for him, so he's been excellent out there so far. I think they were a little surprised, the coaching staff, at how well he's taken to it.
Baseball America said Tyler Malone has the best outfield arm in the Pac-12. The guy who spent time DHing last year. Tied up by the inside fastball from McDaniels. 1 ball and 2 strikes. In 3 games here, that is the 9th error that an Oregon State opponent has committed. All season long, in 13 games, Oregon State has committed 4 errors themselves.
Right.
Not a lot on that off-speed pitch, 2-2.
Well, Garrett finally got into a count where he can use that curveball. It's a plus curveball. It's a pitch that I think once he gets to kind of learn when and how to use it, he'll start bouncing that and trusting his catcher. 2-2 spot here. You want to throw your best pitch.
Yeah, pitchers hate to go from 2-2 to 3-2, and strike 3 called on a good breaking ball from McDaniels. Well, there it is. You mentioned that hook, and he gets him.
Remember, 2-2, that best pitch. And again, he settles down, puts it right where he has to. He doesn't give in, and that's what you like to see. Coach Gilmore talking about the mental toughness of a freshman. You don't give in and just lay it in there. Good pitch.
Brings up Preston Jones. Dozen games, hitting .294, 1 home run. He's 1 for 6 this weekend here in Seattle. The Seattle Baseball Showcase, along with the 4 teams we'll see today. Indiana and the University of San Diego also here. 7 o'clock tonight, Stock and I will have Minnesota and Washington. Ground ball to short, another chance. McKeon, Wood, Bierman, double play. Hats off to Garrett McDaniels. That could have gone south in a hurry. Oregon State settles for 1 as we go to the bottom of the 1st. Beavers picked up a run in the top of the 1st inning, and now for the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. They're out of the Sun Belt Conference. College World Series champions 3 years ago. There's their lineup. Corey Wood, then Cameron Piercy, then Zach Bierman. Kyle Skeels, first-year starting catcher. Jared Johnson, the DH. Keaton Rivers in center. Jake Wright in right. Scott McKeon at short. Keaton Wise at third base. Their starting center fielder Parker Chambers dislocated his shoulder a couple of days ago when he slipped in the dugout after their Friday night game. One of their key run producers not available to play. And the Chanticleers will be hitting against right-hander Sam Tweet. 1-1 in 3 starts, 2.25 ERA.
You know, Sam is a veteran, and what I mean by that is he's not going to overpower. He doesn't throw real hard. He's fastball, curveball, changeup. He will pitch to contact, very solid pitcher. I think what they really have commented on what he's improved on this year is his ability to mix pitches and have confidence in every pitch in any count. Not afraid to give up a walk. Doesn't mean that he will walk a lot, but he'll get 3-2 or he'll get behind, and he's still going to try to hit those spots, and that comes with confidence. Confidence,
any pitch, any count. That's a pretty good start to be a good pitcher.
Right, and you can't be afraid to walk guys, right? If you walk a guy, then you got to have confidence in the guys behind you, and of course you mentioned it, playing great defense.
Here's Corey Wood hitting .356. A lot of good batting averages in this Coastal lineup. Corey Wood 1 for 6 this weekend. A triple and 3 walks. Sam Tweet's last outing was 7 days ago against West Virginia. On the left side, Armstrong and Phillip. It's Bo Phillip fighting the sunshine. This bright but cool day here in Seattle. 1 down. Oregon State has Joe Casey in left, Pat Casey's son. Preston Jones in center, Tyler Malone in right. Alex McGarry at first, Ryan Ober at second, Bo Phillip at short, Andy Armstrong over at third base, and Adley Rutschman back at the plate, catching Sam Tweet. What a presence Rutschman is behind home plate. What a presence in the clubhouse. Nothing in 1 to Cameron Piercy, hitting .333, 2 for 6 this weekend.
It's going to be very important, I think, for Sam to work hard today against Corey Wood and Cameron Piercy. These two guys at the top of the lineup are very good when they get on base. They take big, aggressive leads. They're not afraid to challenge the pitchers. They get out there and really make you think. And those guys that get on base, now it helps that Sam's a veteran pitcher. But I tell you, I saw last night, even with Piercy, he gets on and all of a sudden things are just crazy.
No swing, says the first base umpire, Kelly Gonzalez. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cameron Piercy. Did he go?
No, I think he held up.
Good call.
What a great camera shot.
Yeah, love it.
Where's the blimp? Did you see a blimp? I didn't.
Off speed, got him. Great pitch by Sam Tweet to strike out Cameron Piercy. Tweet coming in 14 Ks in 16 innings.
You see the shadows on this replay. It's a good curveball. Look at that shadow line, though. That'll be something that'll disappear over the next couple of innings. But as a pitcher, you try to take advantage of that now. There's a great shot of that. It'll be tough to pick up the spin.
Tweet, fastball, curveball, change, occasional slider. Comes with the old number 1 there. 1-0 to Zach Bierman, hitting .354. That's a pair of home runs. 1 for 6 here at T-Mobile Park this weekend, and he belts one down the right field line. It hooks foul. Zach Bierman out of West Bend, Wisconsin. Transfer from Polk State College. Dropped another breaking ball in there. 1-2. Bierman on the Conway Regional All-Tournament team last year. Washington Huskies went into the Conway Regional all the way across the country as the number 3 seed and came out with the prize. They got to go to the Super Regional and then the College World Series for the first time ever for the Washington Huskies. We'll see Washington against Minnesota, a team that Oregon State beat in the Super Regional last year. 7 o'clock tonight. Off-speed pitch, got him swinging. Sam Tweet, a pop out and 2 strikeouts. And we're through 1 inning here at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Look at this pitch from Tweet. Very nicely done on the changeup. We go to the second. 1-0 Beavs. Hey, opening day at T-Mobile Park is set for Thursday, March 28th, as the Mariners are going to host the world champion Boston Red Sox. Get here early. Now there's fireworks, player introductions, a ceremonial first pitch from Hall of Famer Edgar Martinez. Visit mariners.com for tickets. Get your first look at the newly minted Hall of Famer, and it's long overdue, Stock.
No kidding. I saw they had his banner already up out there here at the ballpark. Martinez out there. There it is. Some kind of hitter, I'll tell you.
Oh, wow. Another some kind of hitter as well. This is the house that Griffey built, right? 2-hopper off the bat of Joe Casey. This time Corey Wood takes care of his man, and there's 1 down. Wood's error in the first inning contributed to Oregon State scoring their first run. The only run of the ball game so far. At T-Mobile Park, you know what? Whenever I'm here, I think about that incredible summer of 1995. Now, you were playing Major League Baseball, and so and I'm sure you've heard the stories, but you weren't exactly fully aware of what was going on here in the Northwest.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there were chances that the Seattle Mariners were going to leave town. And then in August and September of 1995, leading up to that incredible division series win over the Yankees, that changed everything. Then you had the vote, you had the ballpark, and yeah, indeed, the house that Griffey built.
The house that Griffey built, and then he left.
And then he left.
And then he left. Beautiful ballpark, though.
Ryan Ober.
Yeah, so it's interesting. This is the college baseball showcase, right? That's the name of it. Back in the day, in the Kingdome, when I was playing at University of Washington, we played in an event called the Kingdome Classic, and actually had some teams come out and play in the Kingdome.
Breaking ball waved at and missed. The catcher Skeels had to look back at the plate umpire Joe Burleson as if to say, is he out? Because he was ready to fire the ball down to third base. Skeels caught the ball. It didn't hit the ground. But he got the out at first.
Well, he did, and at least he was smart enough here to look back. Now, that is definitely a strikeout, but the umpire didn't call it. Very smart here by Skeels. He didn't hear anything. He thinks about it and says, "No, wait a minute." You know, and your instincts to throw it down there. That's a very smart play.
Remember the A.J. Przinsky play in the playoffs about 10 years ago when there was a question whether or not the ball hit the ground, and the umpire, there was a big thing about the umpire looked like he signaled out, but he was just signaling strike 3. Troy Claunch, the DH, 4 hits and 21 at-bats this year. I still remember the Sports Illustrated article from that 1995 where there was a wedding going on here in Seattle, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everybody gets out of their cars and goes into the wedding. They were waiting for the end of the Mariners game before they got out of their car.
Of course, right? Well, who schedules the wedding? Well, of course, obviously, it was way down the road, right?
You got to postpone the wedding if that's going on, right?
Postpone the wedding. I'm sure that would go over well.
I think actually the bride was in her car as well. Claunch launches one toward left. Diving try by Cameron Piercy, and he traps it. It's a base hit for Claunch. Great effort by Piercy in left.
One of the toughest things about playing in this big park, you have the shadows, you can see that too, but also when there's nobody in the stands, a play like this can be very difficult. He's running in and the background is just empty green seats. Believe it or not, when they're full of fans, that creates a better background. But when it's empty like that with the shadows, it can be a little tougher. That was actually a pretty good play. Good thing it actually didn't get by him. That might have been an inside the park home run.
Andy Armstrong coming up. Armstrong hitting 158. Troy Claunch, the runner at first, hasn't attempted a steal. Last year didn't attempt one in 23 games in his freshman season, so not a threat to go. Held on by Zach Bierman.
You know, Oregon State is not a team that's going to run. They're slow. They had it last night. They saw Phillip try to steal, got thrown out by 4 or 5 steps. They're willing to say, hey, look, we're not a big running team, but they can really handle a bat.
Breaking ball smothered by Skeels to keep Claunch at first base.
Well, he's not a small guy back there, is he?
No, he's not.
Kyle behind the dish, very athletic, big guy.
6'2", 250. Langhorne, Pennsylvania native. Is Chamonix High School. Redshirted a couple of years ago. And then last year, backup catcher and DH. When it goes, pitch waved at and missed. Claunch gets tagged out. They should have listened to us, Stock.
Listen to themselves. They told me they weren't going to run. Now, I will say that the hitter swung the bat, I think trying to protect him.
Yeah, 1-1. That was the count there. Claunch gets thrown out. His first career stolen base attempt. We go to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Oregon State. Sam Tweet worked a 1-2-3 first inning. A pair of strikeouts. He faces the catcher Kyle Skeels, as we told you, 6'2", 250 pounds. He had a 3-run home run last year in Coastal's regional win over LIU Brooklyn. Secondary pitch is working well for Sam Tweed, Stock.
Well, they're very aggressive hitters, and for a guy like Tweed who doesn't throw hard, you have to try to pick your spots to work against that aggressiveness. You look at Coastal Carolina. Now, last year they lost a couple of big guns in the middle of this lineup. I mean, Seth Lancaster, 20 home run season. Kevin Wood was a 19 home run guy. This year, much different look. They hit great batting average. These guys can swing, but their power numbers are down. That's one of the things you look at a guy like Skeels, a swing like that. He's going to try to get a little bit big at times. That can happen. I think Coach Gilmore's okay with that.
3 consecutive strikeouts now for Sam Tweed. Good breaking ball there.
You get a look at his motion. Now, one thing about Sam, he's a real tall pitcher. In other words, he gets tall, doesn't have a lot of flex in that leg. And then he kind of, I just like to say as a hitter, it looks like he kind of charges the plate when he throws. The ball can actually look like it comes out of his hand quicker than it does.
0-1 to Jared Johnson.
That'll make a lot of times if you have a pitcher like that who kind of charges down the mound quick, it makes you jump at him a little bit. You get out on your front pitch, or out on your front foot. That curveball, that's why they're all out in front.
Now 0-2 as Johnson was out in front of the off-speed pitch. Jared 1 for 4 this week, and he was the hero 7 days ago. A 2-run game-winning single in the bottom of the 9th inning as Coastal at home beat Indiana. With right center field, long run from Malone. He has to field it on a hop. That's the first base runner for the Chanticleers.
Get it off the end of the bat. That'll work. Well, yeah, we talk about the loss of all those home runs, right? And that's why you look at a guy like Shavers, Parker, who hurt his shoulder, Parker Shavers. He had 5 home runs. Now you lose that power in the middle of the lineup. Guys start to wonder who's going to pick up that slack.
Keaton Rivers, one of those guys who could do that. Hitting .340, 1 home run. Last night he had a big double to right center in the top of the 8th inning. Turned a 3-2 lead over Washington into a 5-2 lead. This is only hitting 7 at-bats this weekend. Suffolk, Virginia native. Last year as a junior, Rivers hit .285, 5 home runs. Broke into the starting lineup a couple of years ago, midway through his sophomore year. Sam Tweed, the Oregon State starter, his last game he lost 2-0 at home to West Virginia 7 days ago. 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. He'll take care of business with Rivers. They will probably give Rivers a sacrifice, even though that wasn't his intent.
Well, I don't know if I would. I'm not sure about that play.
I wouldn't. Absolutely.
No, I mean,
official scores usually do that.
Now, here's the thing. He already has 1 strike, too. So when you try to bunt with a strike on you, you have to be perfect. Especially in this case, that ball has got to get down the line. With 1 out, man on first base, maybe later in the game I could see maybe trying to do that. But all you're doing is saying, hey, I'm going to get on base here and let the guy behind me do it. Say, swing that bat. Use that hole to the right side and swing it.
I'm with you. Jake Wright getting action in the starting lineup the last couple of days with the injury to Parker Shavers. Takes the breaking ball. What really drives me crazy, Stock, is when you have somebody come to the plate with a runner at second and 2 down, and he tries to bunt for a base hit.
Yeah. You still see that? I haven't seen that in a while. I guess that does happen.
Playable for Malone. Ober out. It's Tyler Malone, and the side retired. Tweed pitches around a 1-out single. Coastal strands a runner at second base, and we go to the 3rd here at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Artist renderings of what it's going to look like once they get the signage up. They're scheduled to get it up later this month, and then on March the 28th, the Mariners open at home against the Boston Red Sox.
Wow. Some serious pink in there, Rich.
Yes, it is. The new T-Mobile Park, after 20 years, is Safeco Field. Bunt laid down by Andy Armstrong and picked up by McDaniels, and he throws him out. 1 pitch, 1 down here in the Oregon State half of the 3rd inning.
Well, starting this inning now, McDaniel with Coastal Carolina here has 29 pitches, 15 strikes, 14 balls. A play like this where you have a hitter who's been struggling, trying to bunt to get on, using that first pitch to make an out will be huge here for Garrett McDaniels when he's up there pitching with all that stuff behind him.
Now Alex McGarry. McGarry doubled to right on a 3-2 pitch, leading off the ball game.
So the T-Mobile that we just saw, the big sign, from what I understand, they started on Friday putting that up. So as the game went on each day, they got to see a little bit more. It was like TMO.
T-Mo.
Yeah, and then the next day it was, you know, like the rest of T-Mobile, and it kind of went on. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, well done focusing on that one, getting that one up first with us being on TV for the doubleheader today. 2-1 with the breaking ball to McGarry. July 15th will be the 20th anniversary of this park's first game.
Goes fast, doesn't it?
Seattle Mariners open up this year in Tokyo. They'll be actually opening up their season in 10 days, March the 20th.
Crazy.
2-game series there with the A's. McGarry aboard for the 2nd time.
This will be the earliest opening day of any season in baseball. It's getting early. Even now, the regular, I mean, the rest of the teams, I believe, start March 28th.
Yes.
Right? So not only is it getting earlier, trying to get more days off through the season for the guys and travel days, it extends on the other end as well. I mean, just the whole season is getting way too long.
Adley Rutschman reached base on in the air his first time up. Second baseman Wood shading him to pull. Breaking ball gets away from Skeels, and McGarry right on top of that as he heads down to second base. Had a great jump on that ball in the dirt. Great coach for Portland State, Jack Dunn, says you have to read the catcher's knees, and when that ball's on its way in, if he's dropping to his knees, that's when you're on alert.
Interesting. That's one way to do it. I can tell you that we always just read the trajectory of the ball, right? So you practice that, and if you see the ball, you can usually see it from your lead at first base. If you see it coming out, and you get really good at judging if it's going to bounce, and you can get a couple of extra steps.
Now McDaniel steps off, and a balk has been called. Wood came in behind McGarry, and then McDaniel stepped off, and a balk called by the second base umpire, Adam Dowdy.
There's something, he's saying that he did something with his hands. Watch his hands. Oh, he broke his hands.
Yeah, before he stepped off. Yeah. Take your foot off the pitching rubber before you take your hands apart. So runner at third with one out. And a chance for Oregon State to add to their lead, even on an out from Rutschman. Now 1 ball, 1 strike. Stock, this guy is the dude. Adley Rutschman. He's the dude of dudes.
He's the dude of dudes. Yeah, he's his approach and what he's done. I think he has really progressed. Obviously, he's climbed up. He'll be a top 4 pick in the country next year.
I think he's 1-1.
I know you think that, but it's hard. I've said that about other guys too, and I don't know any of the high schoolers, right? You don't know where sometimes what they're saying. I think he's certainly going to be the first catcher. There's no about that. He'll be a first-round pick.
Nick Madrigal last year, 3rd overall to the White Sox.
Madrigal was in spring training this year. He played, he was only in there for like 7 days, right, which he knew.
Yeah.
But he went and played in the summer, what, 3 months, if that? Got a big league invitation into camp.
He impressed his teammates with the White Sox while he was there. See how much Rutschman gets to hit here on 3-1. Runner at third, 1 down. Not much. So first and third with 1 out. Bo Phillip coming up, and McDaniels will be looking for a double play ball like he got back in the first. Caden Grenier, Michael Gretler, Stephen Kwan, Trevor Larnach, along with Madrigal. That is quite a quintet of players to lose as they won the College World Series last year.
Well, your entire middle, your shortstop, second baseman, and your center fielder, all gone. You have to replace them, right? I mean, just like that. And those are kind of the heart of the guys, right up the middle. You still have Rutschman, of course. That's the penalty for having such a good season, right?
Yep.
It's the tough part about being a college coach, is trying to reload.
Bo Phillip hit a shot to short his first time up, a 1-hopper that went for an infield hit and an RBI. Over the top of the breaking ball. Phillip went to Oak Ridge High School down near Sacramento, and then San Joaquin Delta Junior College. There's a line drive to left down the line. That drops fair and heads down toward the corner. Piercy over to pick it up. Rutschman around third. He's being waved home. No relay will come in from McKeon. It's a 2-run double for Bo Phillip. RBIs. Number 17 and 18. He's got 3 on the day, and Oregon State leads it 3-0.
Well, Phillip coming in again. He's a guy that's really impressed the Oregon State coaching staff on how aggressive he is at the plate. I also want to point out, you talked about the dude who was sitting on first base, Rutschman, right? When you start talking about a catcher, when you can have a catcher on first score on a double, he can run, right? That right there tells me, tell a lot of scouts, not only do we have a catcher who can hit, he switch hits, he can throw, he can run as well.
At least a little bit, yeah.
Well, that's quite. I think that would be quite a bit scoring right there. I mean, that's. I think he's faster than you, Rich.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. They used to time me with a sundial.
Oh, I see.
Freshman tryouts, Dana Hills High School. long time ago. Coach actually said that to me. Burk, we're going to time you with a sundial.
At least they're timing you.
On its second one-man out, Tyler Malone coming up. Malone struck out looking on a breaking ball his first time up. College World Series last year. Malone hit 3 home runs. Huge game against UW, with Oregon State having lost their first game to North Carolina. And then game 2, they're down 3-0 in the top of the 5th to Washington, on the verge of being eliminated. And Malone had an RBI single. And then at the top of the 6th inning, he had a bases loaded walk to tie the game, and then hit a home run in the 8th. The 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
One thing about Tyler Malone that surprises me is when I saw him play a couple years ago, saw him swing the bat, even in batting practice, that sort of thing. My first instincts were right away, this guy's going to strike out a lot. The way that he swings for the fences, he really drops a lot of different things. But that's not the case at all. In fact, he only has 7 strikeouts on the year with 10 walks. Fairly patient hitter.
2 hops to Wood, 2 down, and Phillip over to third base. Preston Jones coming up. Phillip with the 2-run double. You know, his high school coach down in the Sacramento area, a guy named Todd Melton. And he watched Dustin Pedroia play at Woodland High School. He said Pedroia is the best player, best high school player that he ever saw. But he said Bo Phillip wasn't far behind. Now, he admitted to a little bias because Bo Phillip was his high school player.
I see. What bias? But what a comparison, right?
Yeah. Oh, 1 to Preston Jones. Jones grounded into a double play to end the threat back in the first inning. Jones got a start in the College World Series last year. It was that game against Washington after the injury to Stephen Kwan. 1 ball and 2 strikes, all breaking stuff so far to Jones.
Yeah, and it looks like Coastal Carolina has their bullpen going. That's 21, Dylan Gentry down there. He's coming up on this next pitch will be 50 for Garrett McDaniels.
Had 16 in the first inning, 13 more in the second, and working hard here in the third. High fastball, chased and missed by Jones, and down he goes. Oregon State, though, scores a pair. Walks to McGarry and Rutschman, and a 2-run double by Bo Phillip. He's knocked home all 3 runs for Oregon State. First Pac-12 Network telecast this year, first of more than 95 games, presented by Opus Bank today. And Oregon State, Coastal Carolina will welcome in the head coach of the Oregon State Beavers, Pat Bailey. And Pat, how about Bo Phillip? I mean, the guy comes out of junior college, kind of an unknown, and here he is just tearing it up and providing protection in the lineup for Adley Rutschman.
Yeah, the thing about Bo is when he came to us, he's a great athlete. I thought he had some work to do just from learning the baseball game, but he's a really hard worker. He's really improved. He makes some plays at shortstop that are just unbelievable, and I'm really pleased and happy with his progress. The biggest thing for me, for him, is we're 14 games in. It's our 14th game, and he only has 1 error.
Well, no one's making errors for your team right now, which has been very impressive. But I want to ask you a little bit about...
Thanks for saying that. Something will probably happen now.
No, it's not my fault. We'll blame Rich. I'd love to ask you about this tournament. And what I mean by that is I know we had a conversation the other day, and it was very clear. You come in, you have these high caliber teams, and how important is that for a team like you guys to come in and say, okay, let's just really find out where we are, trying to solidify some positions?
I think the more you play great teams, the higher quality of teams, the better you're going to be as a team. So I love playing against great teams. And the competition we've played so far, we've probably faced, at this point in the season, probably 3 to 4 guys that have been anywhere from 93 to 98 miles an hour. So it's really good for us to get ready for Pac-12 play.
And of course, as the defending College World Series champions, you have a target on your back. And you know, you're not unfamiliar with this. Division III level, you were the head coach for George Fox as they won the national championship, what, about 15 years ago now? And you were associate head coach last year as Oregon State wins the national title. But back in the left seat, so to speak, piloting this ship, how's it been for you with the transition this year?
Oh, it's been great. I have a great coaching staff. Ryan Gibson and Andy Jenkins have done a great job with our infielders. And Nate, I mean, I think Nate's the best pitching coach in the country. So I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed with a great coaching staff, and we have wonderful young men. And they're guys that are high character guys, and I truly believe that character triumphs over talent any day of the week. So I'm very pleased with what's happening so far, and I'm really pleased with the group of guys we have.
My last question, and I won't keep it, but I want to ask you about Rutschman behind the plate. Obviously, he's a leader of your team, but you talked about high quality, high character guys. As a head coach with him, he's getting a ton of press. You know what's going to happen with the scouts. What kind of conversations can you have with him to help with that?
First of all, he's a really mature young man, and he's very selfless. And I think, you know, I think he has a very good grasp of what's going on, and that he knows that the game and our teammates are things he has control over. He has no control over where he gets drafted or what round, you know. We obviously know he's going to be a first-round pick. Whether he's 1, 2, or 3, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But just keep playing the game and control the things you can control.
And he does a great job with the pitching staff. Sam Tweet was kind of the forgotten guy last year in the College World Series run. He had some good moments toward the end of the season, but didn't get many innings with the pitchers you had here. And here he is pitching well early this season. What do you like from what you've seen from Sam?
Well, the biggest thing for Sam, since we started in January when we got going, then we started scrimmaging when we started practice on January 25th, he's just been very consistent. And I like strike throwers. I mean, it's if you don't walk people and you don't give up free bases, you got a really good chance of winning a baseball game. So that's the part that's been the best so far.
Yeah, we all like strike throwers, don't we? Well, thanks a lot, Pat. Really appreciate you coming on. And looks like we're going to get him 1, 2, 3 here. That means you want to come on with us again, right?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
okay. Pat Bailey, interim head coach for the Oregon State Beavers. 1, 2, 3 for Tweet. He's faced just 1 over the minimum through 3. Let's have a look back at last June in Omaha. Kevin Abel on the hill. Strike 3 called, and that ends it. Oregon State wins the College World Series. Rutschman tackles Abel, then proceeds to protect him as the dog pile took place in the middle of the diamond there at TD Ameritrade Park.
You know, a lot of people, they remember that game 5-0, right? But the game before, when they played Arkansas and had the drop pop up and the big home run fight, I mean, that game was ridiculous. And I think that kind of propelled that team all of a sudden, oh yeah, now we can win. Remember, people forget the College World Series. Oregon State was there for 15 days, 15 or 16 days.
Unbelievable.
Of just baseball, and there's no practicing because you play every other day. So I think it got to the point where it's like, if you want to take BP, show up. If you don't, don't. I mean, that's where it got.
Joe Casey, the hitter, grounded the second his first time up, hit his first collegiate home run yesterday. Oregon State's 8-3 win over Indiana. His father, Pat, legendary head coach for Oregon State, now retired, gone elsewhere in the Oregon State Athletic Department this year. Underhand toss to first from McDaniels, and 2 pitches and 1 down. Pat Casey, 24 years, 3 College World Series titles, 900 wins, 5-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. But I got to think, Stock, that third line down there, 3 national championships, you got to go to bed every night thinking about that.
Oh, I think that was part of the issue maybe why he retired, was because he was so intense and it was constantly, you know, I think he loved it. He's so competitive. After a while, that grind can wear you down a little bit. I think he maybe just needed a break, but I mean, that's where Pat was. He was so good at communicating with the kids, building character, but also had that fire and intensity. More than, I think you mentioned it before, a little bit more than Pat in a different way.
Than Pat Bailey, yeah.
Than Pat Bailey. Pat Casey will be much more outwardly. Pat Bailey will hold it in a little bit, just as competitive, though.
Just in a different way. And the two are in lockstep as far as their philosophies go. I think there's a lot of overlap there. And Pat Bailey said, hey, I wouldn't have stayed with him for all those years if our philosophies weren't the same. 2-0 to Ryan Ober toward right field. Jake Wright brings it in, and they're 2 down.
You know, something else to think about is, at least I do, is you know, Pat Casey was a really good communicator and had a way of getting the most out of his players and his coaches. What I mean by that is, I still can't figure out how Pat Casey got Bailey away from George Fox back in the day, because he was a head coach. Pat Bailey was a head coach. I don't think who takes an assistant coaching job. Now, granted, it was at Oregon State, and at that time, I don't know that they were really rolling yet. But I think Pat Bailey was like very comfortable being a head coach where he was. And he was like, I don't want to go to be an assistant. But Pat Casey has a way of communicating and getting you on board with what the plan is. And here's the goal down the road. And just like that, Pat Bailey took it. That was what I think Pat Casey had a real talent for.
Troy Clunch and a base hit to left in the second inning. Off-speed pitch, no balls and 2 strikes. I got to think the pitching coach, Nate Yeske, is going to have tons of opportunities come his way. I wouldn't question at all what Pat Bailey said, that Yeske's the best pitching coach in the country. And I mean, you got to think professional organizations would be looking at that saying, you know, we take a close look at this guy. Good job by Wood to chest that ball down to the ground like a catcher on a ball in the dirt, and then throws out Clunch. Beavs go 1, 2, 3 for the first time. 3-0 Oregon State. Beavs lead 3-0. Coastal has just 1 hit, their only base runner. That was a second inning single by Jared Johnson. The newly renamed T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners. Rich Burk along with Kevin Stalker. Off-speed pitch, and Cameron Piercy runs up to bunt. 0-1 the count. We talked about it in the last half inning, that epic game 2 between Arkansas and Oregon State at the College World Series last year. Oregon State had lost game 1. In game 2, it's the 9th inning. They're down to their last out. They're down to their last strike. And there's a shot to center for Piercy. That's the second hit that has been given up by Tweed. It caroms off of Preston Jones, but not far enough for Piercy to take an additional base. Pretty good hack here by Piercy.
Ball floats across the middle of the plate, and he knows he can't live there. He'll get hurt. Just doesn't throw hard enough to really throw it by guys. Of course, this is what Coastal Carolina wants. Watch Piercy now. He'll get big leads over there at first base and try to get Sam out of his rhythm.
He's stolen 7 of 8. Adley Rutschman back of the plate. Good arm, as you might imagine. He's thrown out 3 of the 5 runners to go when he's been back there. Bo Phillip, the shortstop, playing over toward the bag. Second baseman Ryan Ober playing Bierman to pull. 1 ball and no strikes. But when that ball's hanging in the air, it's amazing to me. I went back and watched the half inning again recently. Caden Grenier hits the pop-up down the right field line. Carson Shaddy, Jared Gates, Eric Cole all converging on it for Arkansas. They've got the championship in their grasp, just catch the ball. And it's incredible to me what transpired over the next 5 minutes. It drops, Grenier fouls one back, then gets the base hit that ties it, and then Trevor Larnach gets a 2-run home run. And people in the Oregon State dugout said they knew right then they were going to win the College World Series. That one gets away from the first baseman McGarry, and Piercy down to second. He'll hold there. That's just the 5th error of the season on Oregon State in 14 games.
This is what we're, yeah, see Piercy.
Watch this.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Shaddy. He actually hits the first baseman, Jared Gates' arm, and the ball drops. I think Gates stabs it if Shaddy doesn't run into him. And then Grenier had the base hit to bring home the pinch runner, Zach Clayton. And then Trevor Larnach goes yard off Matt Cronin.
That ball was absolutely ripped, too, by Larnach. Ball was hit so hard, so low.
And at the bottom of the 9th inning, Kevin Abel, who had worked the 8th inning, gave up a base hit. They brought Jake Mulholland out of the bullpen, and he ended up striking out Eric Cole. And then there was a shot hit back at him on one hop, and he stabbed it and started the double play.
Yep. Yeah, it was quite a game. That's where extra outs, when you hear announcers talking about giving extra outs, whether it's a drop third strike, a pop-up like that, can really lead to big innings.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Zach Bierman. There's Andy Armstrong. We shouldn't forget, in that epic 9th inning, he laid down a key sacrifice bunt that helped set the table for Grenier. Couple of looks back for Tweet. Hit hard out to Ober, to a knee to make sure. And Piercy to third base with 1 down. So Bierman gets him over. That's not really what you want out of your number 3 hitter. Certainly not trailing at 3-0.
Well, no, and I think he's trying to. He hits the ball hard. I mean, that was a big swing. Again, though, this is what happens now when Piercy gets on base. This is what happens. They create some havoc and things like that happen. And that's where you want your pitcher to pitch out of it.
Now Kyle Skeels, big catcher, struck out swing on a breaking ball his first time up, and Tweet gets ahead of him. Oregon State's starting pitcher, Sam Tweet, a couple of years ago as a redshirt sophomore, first season after Tommy John surgery. It was 3-0, ERA 2.5, but then last year we talked about him being the forgotten man. Only 10 games, 1-0, 7.16 ERA. Did have a couple of outings in the postseason, both scoreless, one in the regional and one in the super. Only an inning and a third pitched between the two. 1-1 to Skeels. 2-1.
Thing about Sam, when you get a shot, you look down at his back foot. Now he's got that toe barely on the rubber. This is part of it. He likes to pitch kind of across the plate a little bit. Maybe work that. You can get a really good look at it there from center field.
A lot of times right-handers like to do the opposite and work from the extreme third base side of the rubber because it enables them to come inside on right-hand hitters better.
Yeah, I don't know the reasoning, whether it's a comfort issue or maybe he tries to throw a sinker periodically and it can get away from him. So in this case, it's a little bit better angle. But he is out there.
Tweet in need of a strikeout. And now it's a full count to Skeels. Earlier we saw Garrett McDaniels with a big strikeout of Tyler Malone back in the first inning in a jam on a 2-2 breaking ball. Tweet came with a 2-2 breaking ball but missed with it.
And I think it'll be another breaking ball here. Again, we talked about not giving in 3-2. I think it'd be a mistake to throw a fastball here.
Payoff pitch to the cleanup hitter. Breaking ball, he got him. Well done, Stock. You knew it was coming.
Well, look where the location is, too. You can see Adley sets up in the middle, but this ball is down and away. Perfect spot for your breaking ball. And this is where, with 2 strikes, if Skeels can figure out a little bit better 2-strike approach, it's okay to have an uppercut. No problem with that. Hit the ball out of the ballpark, but just do it the opposite field with 2 strikes. Hit it out in right center.
Okay. You would think with his size, he's got the pop to do that. Lifted towards center, and for Coastal, it's 1 out, 2 late. Preston Jones camped underneath it to retire Jared Johnson. And that's that. Leadoff base hit. They had Piercy at third with 1 down, but they don't score him. We told you Oregon State. We showed you them winning the title last year. What about 3 years ago? Coastal Carolina against Arizona. 1-run ball game. That's it. Coastal wins it. Stock, they lost the opening game of the finals 3-0. They won back-to-back 1-run games, 5-4 and 4-3. Coastal Carolina, the national champions.
Yeah. You know what was interesting about that team, too, is at the middle of the season, through the middle of the season, they weren't very good. They were about 500. They really weren't playing great. And Coach Gilmore finally said, you know what, we got to change something. Not how you're playing, but I'm going to change positions. He started moving guys around. All of a sudden, the closer became a starter. Third move to right. He moved guys in different positions, and they just went berserk.
Gary Gilmore, the head coach, 24th year at his alma mater, 30th year overall. He was, of course, the coach of the year in 2016. And here this season, 20 wins away from 1,200, so he needs 7 more. You saw the list of recent College World Series winners. 3 times in the last 7 years, a Pac-12 team has done it. And as of right now, today, 3 of the top 5 teams in the nation are out of the Pac-12.
Yeah. Well, Arizona State right now is playing out of their mind.
And they're not even one of those. They're ranked 23rd.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is they're out of their mind. UCLA is pitching like crazy. Stanford's pitching. Yeah, it's impressive what's coming out of the Pac-12.
Armstrong bunted for a base hit his first time up, but got thrown out. Shortstop McKeon has to hurry, and he gets him. Have a look at the top 10. The USA Today coaches poll. Vandy's #1. And then you have Oregon State. UCLA 4th. Stanford 5th. Coastal 16th. ASU 23rd. SEC has a record 11 teams in the top 25, but the Pac-12 has 3 in the top 5. And how about UCLA? I mean, we knew they were going to be good offensively. Pitching change coming. And that's going to be it for Garrett McDaniels. More than 60 pitches now. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Oregon State leading Coastal Carolina 3-0. OSU trying to go 3-0 here at the Seattle Baseball Showcase. Back in a moment from T-Mobile Park. Hey, coming up on Wednesday, the 2019 Pac-12 Men's Basketball Tournament tips off. Time to show up and show out, and no better place to make it count than under the bright lights of Vegas. Live coverage begins Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. on Pac-12 Network, or download and stream live with Pac-12 Now. Be a great event. After another great event going on down there. Later on tonight, it'll be the championship game of the women's tournament, Stanford against Oregon. Stanford ending UW's Cinderella run through the women's tournament.
Stanford has they have a set of twins down there, the Hull girls, that are just tearing it up as freshmen on the basketball team. Lacey and Lexi Hull, I believe.
Garrett McDaniels, 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, all earned. A couple of walks and 3 Ks. And he gives way to Dylan Gentry. Gentry, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, out of Danielsville, Georgia. Madison County High School, a sophomore.
Dylan only has 3 appearances on the season. That's what happens again with the schedule, this heavy schedule that they have. If you're a guy in the bullpen, you're going to get your chance. The trick is going to be taking advantage of that. For him, he probably hasn't seen a mound much. Try to control his emotion, his adrenaline a little bit. We'll go back to McDaniels, who just came out, 63 pitches, 35 strikes, 28 balls. Again, talking to Gary Gilmore, and Coach Gilmore just believes in his heart that in a couple years, McDaniels is going to be a high draft pick out of his junior year. He's that good. Again, it's that freshman, I don't know the right word for it, but they come in and sometimes you put so much pressure on trying to be so perfect. you just can't throw strikes. 35 strikes, 28 balls. That ratio is so bad. You're not going to win with that ratio.
It happened with Kevin Abel last year early on.
Something clicks, right?
And then it clicked.
That's right.
So it might not be till next season. It might even be this season when it happens for McDaniels.
Right. And it might just be having a little bit more success. Maybe it's a conversation with his catcher, whatever it is. Something will click eventually. And he'll be able to start to figure out that ratio and start throwing more strikes.
Alex McGarry off another left-hander. Had a double and a walk, 2 runs scored. And now facing Dylan Gentry. Alex McGarry was with Oregon State last year. Hamate bone injury before the season. And he may not have made the active roster anyway, as deep as they were. But he stayed on campus. He worked out. Kind of a similar story to Jack Anderson, although Anderson did it his freshman season, didn't make the squad. He stayed on campus. He worked out, walk-on guy, stuck around, and ended up being one of the heroes in last year's championship run.
Patience, right?
Patience. 1 ball and 2 strikes to McGarry. Gets him on a breaking ball. So Gentry strikes out McGarry. Gentry just 4 innings coming into this one. 2 walks and 3 Ks.
Remember now, not many appearances. This is only his 4th appearance. How about that breaking ball? I mean, this thing is down and away with 2 strikes. Perfect spot.
Adley Rutschman has reached base on in there and walked. 2 out, none on. Starting him off, breaking ball.
Now, before the pitching change, we were talking about the teams that were in the top 25, and I mentioned ASU. Can you believe ASU? I think they're averaging 11 runs a game so far. 10 or 11, right in there.
Yeah,
it's
they
crazy.
have 16 home runs in 11 games.
The amount of runs, it's just per game. Some of their scores are so lopsided.
And you know what? I messed that up. That's an old stat. I believe it's up to 23 home runs in 14 games now.
Come on, Rich. Isn't that crazy?
Ridiculous. And Spencer Torkelson only has 2.
Right.
Hunter Bishop has 7.
Right.
Trevor Hauber has 5 or 6.
We should probably, I want to preface that, you know, ASU and Arizona, notoriously offensive-minded teams. Part of that is because they play in ballparks where the fields are so hard, it's like concrete. I mean, ground balls go through there. You get base hits. So their averages typically are going to be a little bit elevated. But you're talking about home run numbers.
Trickler up along third. The third baseman Wise. Play at first. Bang, bang. And Rutschman has a base hit. When you can do what he can do, when you can produce runs like he can, you're hitting 390, and then you get a hit like that.
Well, it evens out, right? I mean, they have to back up a little bit because you're a big swinger. You see where a third baseman is playing. He has to respect him. I've always been a believer if you're a big guy who hits a lot of home runs, which I'm not saying Adley's that guy yet, but I've seen it before. If you get a hit like that, I can't stand it when you get on first and maybe shake your head and you're upset about that. Take the hit, baby.
Absolutely.
Take the hit. Canseco used to do that. He'd shake his head after hitting a double because he didn't get a home run, or he'd do things. I'm like, come on, man, I'll take that.
Off-speed pitch, 0-1 to Bo Phillip. Bo has knocked home all 3 runs today. Infield hit in the first, 2-run double in the third. I think he went.
Yeah, I think so.
Big shoes to fill for Bo Phillip, with Caden Grenier getting drafted last year, leaving the Beavs. Excellent shortstop. Maybe not as fast as Grenier. He swings and drives one toward right. Jake Wright going back, has a read on it and brings it in. So Phillip hits the ball hard again. This time flies out to right. The Beavs leave Rutschman at first. We're halfway through here on this Sunday afternoon in Seattle. 3-0 Beavs. Back here at the newly renamed T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners, the Seattle Baseball Showcase, a 3-day event that has had 6 different college baseball teams here, and we'll have 4 of them on Pac-12 Network today and tonight. After this one's over at 7 o'clock, we'll have the University of Washington, and they play host to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. In the meantime, Sam Tweet heads out for the bottom of the 5th inning, having faced just 2 hitters over the minimum, 2 scratch singles. Good Houdini work in his last inning. Runner at third and 1 down. He got a strikeout and a fly out, and now facing Keaton Rivers and gets ahead of them 0-1. Keaton Rivers last year in Coastal Carolina's regional win over LIU Brooklyn. He had 5 runs batted in. Hitting .340 coming into this one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sam Tweet, the Oregon State pitcher. I wonder if Sam Tweet is on Twitter.
Come on, now you're getting crazy.
Do we have the guys in the truck look that up? Is Sam Tweet on Twitter?
Of course he's on Twitter. Every kid in the dugout down there is on Twitter. Instagram. I think Snapchat's now kind of gone.
Stevie Thompson, one of the stars for the Oregon State men's basketball team. He's not on Twitter. His nickname is Twitterless Stevie.
Nice. I think Sam Tweet is, and he would tell you that that was his 51st pitch. 37 strikes, 14 balls.
Line drive toward right center field. That'll get down for a base hit. Jones over to get it. Around first is Rivers. He'll motor into second base with the first extra base hit for the Chanticleers today. Leadoff man aboard. Tweet left it up. No, I take that back. It was down in the way, and Rivers went down and got it.
I think they'd love to get him through the 5th inning here, talking about Sam Tweet, but another base hit like that I think will get the bullpen fired up a little bit.
Rivers' 2nd double this year.
Good crowd here today for Oregon State. I have to say I was at the game yesterday and I thought it was a bigger crowd. Maybe it's because it was Saturday. Not only was it a little bit bigger, they were loud and a little obnoxious yesterday for Oregon State crowd.
Jake Wright flew out to right. His first time up. That in fact is 5 doubles this season for Keaton Rivers. Yeah, Oregon State always travels well. I mean, they had thousands of people go down to watch their season opening series down at Surprise, Arizona, back-to-back weekends.
Good job, Jake. Good take.
Well, I know I had a hard time checking out of my hotel today because of all the Oregon State fans.
Oh, really?
They were packed. Yeah, they were all checking out at the same time.
3-0 Beavs lead here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Coastal Carolina, the home team. This neutral site game here at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. That gets away from Rutschman. And no play, wild pitch from Sam Tweet. Runner at third, nobody out. And a 2-1 count on Jake Wright. I think Adley won't be happy with himself at that one, huh?
Well, no, and you saw a little jump, try to jump to the inside a little bit. It looked to me like Adley was a little deep, a little further away than he wanted to be from the plate, and therefore he's out of position. Believe it or not, catchers can be out of position.
Armstrong even with the bag at third base. Rest of the infield back. And now 3-1 to Jake Wright. There's no one throwing in the Oregon State bullpen, but they're stirring. .56 pitches now for Tweet. .3-1 to Wright, and ball 4, and the tying run coming up. If you tweet at this point, you just want to focus on the hitter and say, okay, if that guy at third scores, so be it. but I'm not letting anybody else score.
Well, yeah, and that's his rhythm obviously is a little disrupted for some reason, and I think so, yeah, you get a run on third base, you still make your pitches and so forth. We talked about that confidence factor with him. But now, of course, if you're an infielder, you got to try as hard as you can to try to pick up your pitcher. That's what you try to do. You try to give him confidence, just throw a ground ball. We'll take care of the rest.
Keaton Rivers at third, Jake Wright at first. Scotty McKeon, the hitter. McKeon hitting .391, was 0 for 4 last night. It snapped a 14-game hitting streak. He did have his sacrifice fly. There's a line drive to left center field. That'll get down for a base hit. Rivers scores. Right to second. 3-1 Oregon State, and the Chanticleers are on the board.
Well, this will bring a visit out from Yeski, the pitching coach, and now there is someone up in the pen. I can't tell if it's Isert or Chamberlain. It's one of the two. He tries to get ahead with the curveball. Now the curveball, I think what's happening is you get through the lineup a couple of times. Coastal Carolina has seen the curveball. They've adjusted. That's a sign of a good offensive team. They're going to start to make adjustments and sit a little bit more on that breaking ball. Out in the bullpen right now, that's Brandon Isert that is out there warming up.
Nate Yeski talking things over with Tweed, and Sam wants to get through this inning. Starting pitcher has to go 5 to be eligible to get credit for a win. Although there is an obscure rule in college baseball that says if you know ahead of time that he's not going to go 5, you can still get the win. But that wasn't the idea with Sam Tweed.
Really? I didn't know that rule.
Yeah, I didn't know it
if
either
you
until
know
last
ahead of
year.
a time?
There was a starting pitcher in a game at Oregon State that went 3 innings and he got credit for a win. I'm like, well, this is wrong. And they said, no, in college baseball, you can give a starting pitcher a win with less than 5 innings. If the intent was that he wasn't going to go 5 to begin with. There's Brandon Isert, so big in that postseason run last year. Christian Chamberlain, another lefty who was big in that postseason run last season. He worked 4 2/3 innings in the weekend opener on Friday. Keaton Wise, the hitter, number 9 hitter. He had a sacrifice bunt earlier this weekend. Let's see if he's up there to bunt him over. Oregon State thinks he is.
I think so.
Wise out of Poway, California. Went to La Jolla Country Day School, then to Auburn University. 2nd year with the Chanticleers after the transfer from Auburn. Squares the bunt and takes ball 1.
Gotta let him bunt it. Throw it down the middle. Let him bunt it. Take the out.
At this point, you don't put on the wheel play, just play things straight up.
Yeah, I mean, the wheel play is in special circumstances. In this case, you have a 2-run lead, and you're just about outs. Minimize the damage.
Tweed has it. 1 play to first, and he pulls the first baseman off the bag, and everybody's safe. McGarry jumped. That's the 2nd error of the game, both on Sam Tweed. They had just 4 errors the entire season coming into this game. Well, that's a gut punch.
Yeah, that's a gut. And he thought he had to hurry. Well, he really didn't. He had more time. The bunt is okay. He gets there. He's a pretty good athlete. And then he just rushes the throw. Doesn't have the ball yet. Didn't have to do that. This is what I talk about, though, when we talk about just get the out.
Yep.
So it goes from having 2nd, 3rd, and 1 out now to a big inning play, because now you're going to be in trouble.
Yeski going out. Isert will be coming in. And he'll be surrounded by Chanticleers. Bases loaded, nobody out. 3-1 Oregon State, a run already home, and Tweed exits the game. And Isert comes in. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Oregon State leading at 3-1, but Coastal has the bases loaded with nobody out, a run already home. Brandon Isert coming out of the bullpen to replace Sam Tweed, and Tweed allowed just 2 hits, 2 base runners in the first 4 innings. He pitched well until here in the 5th.
Well, pitching wise, he looked good. I mean, he had the breaking ball going early, his location, he wasn't giving in to hitters, and I think it helped. You see it here, but as you roll through the lineup, you get to that 3rd time through, adjustments are going to be made, and that's what happened. But early in the game, he was rolling. Defensively, not so much. He ends up with 60 pitches, 40 strikes, 20 balls. A lot of that coming in the last inning.
Gives way to Brandon Isert. And Isert 4-0. Nation leader in wins, and all those, of course, out of the bullpen, and has not allowed an earned run.
Yeah, pretty good, right? I mean, to have two lefties bat, you have Brandon Eisert, who's kind of a long relief guy. You can bring him in this situation. They wanted to bring him in here, but just not in this situation. You also have your closer back out there in the bullpen, and Jake Mulholland, who can really close the game. We saw that yesterday.
And we talked at length about that epic Game 2 of the College World Series Finals last year, and lost in the heroics of Kevin Ableton, Caden Grenier, and Trevor Larnach. It was Brandon Eisert, the job he did in that game. Came on in relief of Bryce Fimmel in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Oregon State trailing at 1-0, and Eisert went 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Corey Wood has popped to short, grounded out to second base. Leave to the middle infield back at double play depth. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, this is the guy you want up there. You know, we talked about him in the open. He's the heart and soul of this team. He's one of those guys that he's an on-base guy, can take pitches and really work walks, but when you need him to swing the bat, he can, and this is one of those positions.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Eisert's one of those lefties I think you would call sneaky fast.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's sneaky, Rich. I mean, this is why I switch hit. Like I did not want to face a guy who's got a little bit of a hitch in his, when he comes set. He has a little bit of a hitch in his throw, almost like he's throwing it from behind you.
That's what I'm saying. You know, it looks like it's 5 or 6 miles an hour faster.
Yeah.
Popped up. Rutschman. Does he have a play? He does. He's got the ball, and there's 1 down. It's a big first out. Now a double play ball gets you out of the inning without giving up any further runs. Let's have a look at how he attacked Corey Wood.
Well, he's not going to give in to him, and you see this first pitch. We'll get a look at it. Up and out of the zone. It kind of raises the eyes right away. So now if you're a left-handed hitter, you might be a little on your heels. Pounds it back down and away. Then this one, I think, was the one that Corey really wants back. He had challenged him with it and just missed it. Nice play by Adley, too. Now, remember, the roof right now is open. Believe it or not, even though it's a high sky, a little easier to see those pop-ups. I think for the night game later tonight, they'll close that roof. It'll be very difficult.
The official terminology, if they bring it across, will be the roof is extended.
Is that what it is?
Yes, yes.
I didn't know that. It's not closed. Okay. My fault.
That's all right. I didn't learn that till last night.
Really?
0-1 to Piercy.
Like, how does that come up in conversation? Like, did somebody correct you?
No, I was listening to the Oregon State radio broadcast last night after I got done doing the Pac-12 Swimming and Diving Championships. Back to the hotel, preparing for today, and listening to John Warren, who's filling in for Mike Parker, and he said, yes, he's been told you don't say the roof is closed because it's not enclosed. You say the roof is extended.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know how particular they are about that.
Right. So it's extended now.
I guess
over the train?
No, it's open now. When they close
Wait a minute.
it's extended.
Wait a minute. We're going to get clarification on this because that's not working.
It's not?
You can't be open and then extend and not closed, right?
Okay,
extended,
so
non-extended.
Retracted and extended. Thank you to our producer, Ross Miller, who's smarter than both of us.
I don't like either of them. Open and closed. No, I'll get it right.
1-1 to Piercy. 1-2. You know, in watching Brandon Eisert's motion, you know what he reminds me of? Remember Sid Fernandez?
Oh, yeah.
Who it was like he was pitching uphill. He would get, when he released it, it was like it went up.
Yeah.
And that's a similar case with Eisert.
I played with Sid.
Did you?
1 year at the Phillies, he pitched.
Sid.
Sid pitched 1 year with the Phillies for us. Yep. He had a talk about guys with big solid bases. He had a big solid base. Yeah. That guy. Yeah. But you're right. It almost looked like he pitched uphill.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Piercy. Well, the pitchers hate to go from 2-2 to 3-2 with runners at first and second. They really hate to do it with the bases loaded. So we will see the best Eisert has right here.
Right. And I suspect this will be a fastball. Again, it's your best pitch, which I think is his best pitch, is that fastball.
Cameron Piercy would be a tough guy to double up. He's the fastest player on the team. With apologies to Corey Wood. Toward right field and down the line. Long run for Tyler Malone. And we'll wind it up and do it again. More baseball coming up at 7 o'clock here on Pac-12 Network. Kevin Stocker's alma mater, the Washington Huskies, will be playing host to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Doubleheader from here at T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners. 7th pitch of this duel between Eisert and Piercy coming up right here. Oregon State leading at 3-1. Run home here in the bottom of the 5th. Sacks full. 2-2. Got it. What a big breaking ball from Brandon Eisert.
Well, if you're Piercy, you have to look fastball. And he got the fastball on the pitch before that he had fouled. I think he wants it back. And you aren't kidding. That's a gutsy call, I think, by Eisert. Bases loaded. He went with that little slider breaking ball. I'd have come back with another fastball, but terrific pitch.
I think Piercy thought he was coming back with the fastball, which what made it effective. Now Zach Bierman. What a job for Eisert. He's got one more rung to climb to get out of it without giving up any further runs. And he's ahead of Bierman, 0-1. Zach Bierman taking over as the starting first baseman this year, with Kevin Woodall drafted last year.
All right, I'm going to take Rutschman. Who are you going to take? Watch, here comes the ball. A little race going on.
That's hilarious. And he pulls his card out as if he's going to write him up.
Right.
Joe Burleson, the plate umpire. I like it when umpires have personality. A shot toward right. That'll get down. It'll bring 1 run home, 2 runs home. Keaton Wise around third, being waved home by Gary Gilmore. The relay not in time. It is a 3-run double for Zach Bierman. And Coastal leads it 4-3.
It'll be interesting to see on the replay where Rutschman sets up on this pitch. Look where he's at. He does. He jumps to the inside. It just does not work. I mean, Zach was sitting all over this pitch, and it looks to me like he gets fisted. I mean, the ball's down in his hands a little bit, but that's what strength will do for you. Boy, that is a huge hit. Big blow to Oregon State.
Old axiom in baseball that you don't work a good hitter inside late in a close game. Now, it's not late. We're in the 5th inning. But that's a good hitter right there, number 3 hitter in the order. And he challenged him inside and paid the price.
Yep.
Now Kyle Skeels, the catcher. 4 runs home for Coastal here in the bottom half of the 5th.
You know, I'm okay with them coming in there. I think, though, the intent was to come in off the plate. You try to come in off, kind of like you did with Corey Wood. He came in high and tight first to get him off the plate. Then you can go away. He just didn't get it inside far enough.
Three-run double for Zach Bierman. RBIs number 15, 16, and 17 this year. Another look at it.
You can see Rutschman jumps in there late, just doesn't quite get it in far enough. That's a good piece of hitting.
Yep, all credit to Bierman. Skeels has struck out twice, both against the starter Sam Tweet. Close the book on Sam now. Big play in the inning. The error on Tweet. Keaton Weiss laying down a sacrifice bunt. Did get credit for the sacrifice. Reached base on the air by Tweet. That was the end for Sam. Then a foul out and a strikeout. It looked like Eisert was going to get out of it unscathed, but on a 0-1 pitch, Bierman doubles home 3. One and 2 to Kyle Skeels. Now 2 and 2. Coastal Carolina trying to do something that Hadn't happened often since the beginning of the 2017 season. Get this, Doc. Since the beginning of 2017, non-conference regular season, Oregon State is 58-3. Let that sink in.
That is really good. The starts that they have every year have just been so impressive.
Yes. Off-speed pitch, full count.
I think one of the toughest things to do individually is to start a season in the hole and try to climb out of it. It's really difficult. Minnesota,
like Coastal did a couple years ago.
Yeah, like Coastal did as a team. But even individually, like if you're like Andy Armstrong, who's really struggling mentally, he'll get out of it. But will it be too late? Because your number, you're always looking at your numbers. You know, Oregon State as a team, though, like you said, man, they come out hot and win. They might have a lull sometime during the season, but they have all those wins behind them.
3-2 pitch. Chopped off the foot of Skeels. Still a full count.
Not sure what's happening now.
Catcher's interference?
Oh, it must have been catcher's interference, yeah.
Did the swing hit Rutschman's glove?
Oh yeah, sure did. Remember earlier we talked about a block that he didn't get over, and I thought maybe he was a little too deep, and it looked to me like he's moved up a little bit where his normal position is, reaching out, just got him. Now before the game, I had a nice talk with Drew Thomas, and Kevin Shaw, who did the hitting for Coastal Carolina. We talked about philosophy, and he made a real good point about how they try really hard to let the ball travel and get depth in their swing. There's a good example of that.
That, by the way, is also an error on Rutschman, meaning 3 errors in the game for Oregon State, almost doubling their total from the first 13 games of the year when they had just 4 combined. Johnson single to right, flied out to center, although there's kind of an asterisk around these 3 errors, 1 on the catcher's interference and 2 on the pitcher. So it's not like the defense is mishandling balls.
Behind him, right.
Johnson had a game-ending hit a week ago against Indiana at Springbrook Stadium there in Conway, home of the Chanticleers. 0-2. Missed with the slider. Brandon Eisert, like other guys in that Oregon State bullpen, a rare relief pitcher that has both breaking balls, curveball and slider.
One will certainly be used more kind of as the out pitch. The other one's more of a show pitch.
Dylan Pierce likewise, a right-hander, throws both a curveball and a slider. Bierman and Skeels on the bases. Jared Johnson, the 9th man to come to the plate in the inning, stays alive. Bierman at second after his 2-out 3-run double, and Skeels reaching on catcher's interference. 1-2 to Jared Johnson. And he got him, but the damage is done and then some. A 4-run 5th inning for Coastal Carolina. Zach Bierman's 2-out 3-run double gives them the lead. And we go now to the top of the. Let's have a look at a game break. USC UCLA in the Dodger Stadium Classic. Blake Sable, the very first pitch of the game, boom. Talk about jumping on one, Stock.
You know what's happening right now after that? The alumni bands from both are going crazy. That's what you see down there. Is you see the score. So UCLA is climbing back in that. I remember being down there a couple of times for that. I'm like, where's that music coming from? And sure enough, both sides have huge alumni bands playing. It's crazy.
We're here at the Seattle Baseball Showcase, more than 1,000 miles north of Dodger Stadium. Rich Burk along with Kevin Stocker. Doubleheader baseball today. Later on, 7 o'clock, Washington against Minnesota. And Oregon State going to have to come from behind now with left-hander Dylan Gentry on the hill, and Tyler Malone takes a breaking ball for a strike. Malone is struck out, grounded out to second base. Now 3 for 10 this weekend. Had a go-ahead 2-run double yesterday in the 4th inning. Back-to-back breaking balls. Now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Malone. Preston Jones and Joe Casey to follow. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Chanticleers, a name from classic literature. Malone strikes out. Second K for Dylan Gentry. Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. A Chanticleer is a rooster that rules the barnyard with cunning and wit. Hence their logo with the rooster. Good pitch by Gentry.
Number 33, Preston Jones.
Preston Jones is grounded into a double play and struck out. Big breaking ball, 0-1. Preston's brother PJ caught for Washington State, drafted by the M's in 2015. There's the Chanticleer logo. Does he look like he could rule the barnyard with cunning and wit?
I don't know, but I was just going to say it looks a lot like the tattoo you have on your arm, isn't it? Big old. No.
No.
Took me a little while. I had to really look at it to kind of find it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2-1 to Jones. Dylan Gentry pitching like a veteran out there. It's just his 4th appearance. Only 4 innings coming in. Sophomore out of Georgia. Breaking ball through the hole. Base hit for Jones. 6th hit for Oregon State.
You want to talk about a hanging breaking ball. That was one right there. Really the first one that we've seen, and that he just left it up there. I mean, Preston Jones, you can see his eyes just light up. Look where this pitch is. It just sits up there almost like it's sitting on a tee. Not a good pitch.
Preston hasn't attempted a steal this year. Last year, 38 games. Having missed time with a hamstring injury last year. Did steal 3, was caught 3 times. Casey showed bunt. Takes a strike. Joe Casey, son of Pat, went to Crescent Valley High School, Corvallis. Had an RBI base hit in the College World Series last year in the 12-2 win over Mississippi State. That set up the winner-take-all game in that bracket. 0-2 to Casey. First career collegiate home run came in yesterday's 8-3 win over Indiana. Again, Jones, no stolen bases this year. Oregon State has 5 as a team in 10 attempts. Oh-2 pitch. Good pitch. Got him looking.
Well, look where he wants it. He wants it outside, but it's inside, right? I think it fools Casey. I think he gives up on it really early. It might be a little bit on the inside part of the plate. What happens is the catcher moves outside, so does the umpire. So now that ball that misses on the inside like that is far away. There's a judgment call there.
Ryan Ober, the hitter, is struck out and flied out to right field. Ober from this area, Snohomish, Washington. A little more than a half-hour north of here. Went to Glacier Peak High School. Only 7 at-bats last year, was 0 for 7. 3 for 11 so far this year. Back-to-back starts at second base as Oregon State looking for offensive answers there, and at third, Andy Armstrong starting at third base again.
Well, I think Oberg gives them a terrific guy up the middle. He's a great defensive player. Offense not quite there yet. It doesn't mean that it won't come yet.
That one's toward the alleyway in left center. Keaton Rivers on the run, fighting the sun, unable to come up with it. Here comes Jones around third. Relay coming in from McKeon. Sweep tag by Skeels, and he doesn't get him. The first base umpire, Kelly Gonzalez, coming down with the umpires rotating, and he calls him safe.
I don't know if he's going to go ask for help here or what he's going to do. No.
Looked to me like,
yeah, they're going to meet.
The tag was there.
Yeah. What a nice relay throw. I mean, this ball is completely lost in the sun, but to come up, get it into your infielder's hands, that's what you want to do. Get it to the infielder as quickly as possible.
And the call's been overturned. And now the plate umpire, Joe Burleson's going to hear it from Pat Bailey.
Yeah, but you know what? He is out. I mean, he is completely out. You'll see the replay here. Catch and tag right there. I mean, he is definitely out. The ball beats him there in plenty of time. Yeah. Now,
yep.
It's the right call, and I like the fact that they met and the umpires got it right.
Yeah, and you know what? The on-deck hitter, Troy Clonch, missed his responsibility. He's got to run up there and grab that bat and get it out of the way. One way or the other, they got the call right. Jones is out, and the Chanticleers still have a one-run lead as we go now to the last half of the sixth inning. Keaton Rivers led off the fifth inning with a double to right off Sam Tweed. Now he leads off the sixth inning after they scored 4 times in the fifth. Coastal leads at 4-3. Nice breaking ball, 1-1. One ball and 2 strikes. Brandon Eisert in relief of Sam Tweed. Eisert's last outing was a week ago today. No decision and a 2-0 loss at home to West Virginia. 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs, a walk, and 5 Ks. Two and 2 to Rivers. The first of 95, more than 95 telecasts on Pac-12 Network this year. Pac-12 baseball. Rich Burk along with Kevin Stocker. Strike 3 called. Good fastball at the knees to Keaton Rivers. Here's the play that ended the last half inning. And the tag on Preston Jones from Ryan Skeels.
Now you have to say that the tag is there, but also you got to be careful. Look where Ryan is standing. He started in front of the plate, and he's right crossing the baseline. Technically, believe it or not, according to the rules, if he would have slid straight in toward home plate. Now I think he caught the ball. Once you have the ball, you have to go and make that tag. A lot of it has to come down to timing and judgment. I will tell you, in my mind, the umpire who rotates, Kelly Gonzalez, has to rotate down, was late getting down there. I mean, that happens, right? I'm not sure he would have noticed if Skeels was in the way of the baseline or not. He just wasn't quite all the way down there. I love how the umpires met, though, and got the right call.
Totally agreed. Bottom line, get it right. Breaking ball. 0-2 to Jake Wright.
You know, the other thing I have to add, you know, there was 2 outs in that situation, and Preston Jones, who can really run on first base. I got to tell you, I'm not sure if he got a real good jump, because with 2 outs and the ball's hit, you're off and flying.
Yep.
So whether it was a short secondary lead or he got a poor jump of some sort, you kind of would think that would be a little bit closer play or even score at home plate.
Also, full credit to Scott McKeon. It was a great relay from shallow left center.
Yep.
One and 2 to Jake Wright. Jake Wright from Chester, South Carolina. Transferred this year after a year at Seminole State Junior College in Florida. He went to South Carolina 2 years ago as a freshman, but had to redshirt because of injury. Tough matchup here with the lefty Izard. 2-2. Izard, native of Beaverton, Oregon, in the Portland area. Went to Aloha High School. 2-2 pitch to right. Four-three Coastal Carolina. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Coastal coming across the country here, playing in the Seattle Baseball Showcase, along with Washington, Minnesota, Indiana, San Diego, Oregon State. Coastal, the home team in this game. Adam 0-2, now it's full. 7th pitch of this duel coming up. Toward left field, Joe Casey on the move toward the line into foul ground to bring it in, and then hits the low railing.
Very nice play here. There's no one over there to help you. There's no fans telling you. There's no ball girl. There's nothing like that that's going to, you know, hold up. You just have to know where you are. Good concentration. Takes a little bullet in the leg. He's young. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
You don't start bruising till 30s.
You don't? What happens when you're in your 50s?
Well, well, I told you, that's what I said. In your 30s, you start. You don't make that play in your 50s.
I would have been.
Actually, I wouldn't know.
From it.
I wouldn't know. Getting there,
man.
Close.
Scott McKeon, 0-1 the count. Joe Casey, actually in that game 2 last year against Arkansas, he got in the game late and played left field and in center field. Didn't have any action his way, but he was in center field as they closed out that game 2, and then they would win the next day 5-0 behind the complete game shutout from Kevin Abel. Change up, 0-2 to McKeon.
You see McKeon up here in the situation with 2 outs. And I know earlier in the game he had a tough little play real early in the game at show, but he's been very good, very solid. I think he's someone, again, 391 hitting. He's putting the ball in play, not striking out a whole lot more than he wants to. He's got 12 RBIs. I mean, he's played so solid at shortstop. It's nice to have your guys up the middle between Wood and McKeon playing that way for a head coach so he can experiment around the diamond with his other guys.
Both these teams, both these programs, you figure your best player, one of them is going to be at shortstop. And both these programs rank top 25, and they have junior college transfers at shortstop.
Right. They've had to fill, right? You have to fill spots. When you're good as a team, you lose guys quickly. And typically, you have to fill them in. And those guys that are ready physically are usually from junior colleges.
Check swing, around he went, says Joe Burleson, and McKeon pointing down to first base as if to say, why are you making that call? Ask him to make that call. That's not your call. McKeon down on strikes. 1-2-3 inning for Izard. Hey, coming up, beginning March 28th, it's the Red Sox and the Mariners here at the newly renamed T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Now there's Mookie Betts, Mitch Haniger, Marco Gonzalez figures to start the home opener. We'll see. Will it be Chris Sale for the Red Sox? Boston's first game since winning the World Series last year.
Has to be Chris Sale, right?
You would think so?
Yeah.
And Mariners have announced that Marco Gonzalez is going to start game 1 in Tokyo, and Yusei Kikuchi, the newcomer from Japan, will start in game 2 in his native nation.
Yeah. Be crazy back there for that game.
New pitcher is Alaska Abney, the lyrically named right-hander from Lawrenceville, Georgia, Mill Creek High School.
Comes from underneath. He's going to give them a little different look here, the Oregon State hitters. Drops down. He's going to use his hard sinker, a little sweeping slider.
7th appearance. 0-1, has a couple of saves. Now, Stock, I played Division III college baseball. I didn't play D1 like you, and I certainly didn't play in the big leagues, but I remember liking facing these guys, even as a right-hand hitter, facing the guy that dropped down from the right side. I would just kind of crouch down a little bit, get the plane of my eyes down a little bit closer. I had some success against these guys. What about you? Did you like facing sidearm? Well, you were a switch hitter, so it didn't affect you as much.
Well, no, I did though, because the ball typically was down where I was looking. I didn't face any sidewinders that threw real hard, and typically they rely on movement. I could hit guys that if I knew it was going to move away, I could do that. Okay, left-handed, but I didn't mind hitting those guys. Knuckleballers, that's a whole other thing.
You face Huff, Candiotti?
Both. Wakefield. Yeah, the only 4 that so it was Huff, who when I faced him, his knuckleball always drifted away from a right-hander. Always, every time.
Yep.
You face, so that was Huff. Candiotti, Tom Candiotti.
Don't tell me the 4th, I want to guess. You said there was 4.
Yeah, okay. Remember that I faced.
That you faced.
So yeah, Candiotti, he was a good knuckleballer, but he would get behind. Always come with a curveball if he was behind 2-0. So I'd sit and wait for that. And then with Wakefield, no chance. I could not hit Wakefield. My best chance off of him was to walk. It was so filthy.
Wood charges and gets him. Claunches out. Was the 4th Steve Sparks?
No, it was not. I
Rich
thought you were going to get it. No.
No.
Okay.
Kevin Stocker, 3 games here in this ballpark. 12 plate appearances, .583 on base percentage, and scored 3 runs.
Wow. Only 3 games. I came here, and I have family up in this area, but I was hurt typically when I came up here. So I only got my 3 games. That's a stat from out of nowhere there.
Andy Armstrong, the hitter. 1 ball and no strikes. 4-3 Coastal. We're in the top of the 7th inning.
So the other knuckleballer was Springer. Remember
oh, yes, yes.
Yep.
I forgot about him.
Yep.
2 balls and no strikes.
Tim Wakefield, though, was just, he was a guy that said, I'm going to throw my knuckleball whether I walk you or not. I mean, he had a fastball in the upper 80s, 86 to 88. So you had to respect that a little bit, but.
Candiotti could also get it up there a little bit upper 80s, couldn't he?
Yeah, but he never threw it. It was just, he just loved that curveball, and he loved his knuckleball. He rarely threw the fastball, where Wakefield would use it a little bit more. It's a setup pitch, but his knuckleball was crazy.
You know what I've read? I need confirmation on this. Somebody will Google it and tell me online, I'm sure. Twitter, @RichBurk1, shameless plug. Phil Niekro, when he won his 300th game, the only knuckleball he threw in the entire game was the last pitch. It was fastball, slider. Fastball.
I've never heard. I've never heard of that. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. I would be surprised, but I suppose he could do that just for something to do. Yeah.
Late in the season, it was kind of throwaway game. I believe he was he back with the Braves at that time, or?
I don't know. He played for so many teams.
3-2 pitch. Chopper towards short. McKeon. Nice play. A little dig at first by Bierman. Armstrong out, 2 down here in the Oregon State half of the 7th.
Armstrong right now is really scuffling at the plate, just having a hard time finding anything on the barrel. He's making plays tough and he's hustling, which is good, but I think at some point that frustration is going to start to get the better of him. He's got to really try to relax. Slumps are tough.
What was it Johnny Bench said? It's like a soft bed, easy to get into and hard to get out of.
Yeah, that's so true.
Alex McGarry has doubled, walked, and struck out. 1 ball and 1 strike. I just looked it up myself. Article from the LA Times, 1985. And Phil Niekro, 300th win, 1 knuckleball the entire game, the last out.
Got it.
One ball and 2 strikes to Alex McGarry. McGarry had a great Beavers debut opening day. Oregon State down 4-0 into the bottom of the 7th against New Mexico. He had a pinch hit 2-run bloop single that got things going for Oregon State, and they came from behind to win that game. Nice to get that first hit right out of the gate, isn't it? Backdoor strike 3 called. McGarry thought the pitch was outside. He might have a case. Sidearm pitch. That backdoor maybe from Alaska Abney. Beavs trail by 1. 4-3 Coastal leads going to the bottom of the 7th inning. Alex McGarry striking out, looking to end the top of the inning. Let's have a look at that pitch again. Did it hit the outside corner?
Well, this is the pitch, probably a little bit outside, but when you talked about facing sidewinders, a great view of it here. Did it wrap it? Yeah, probably.
I don't think so.
That's close, but that's the pitch that's tough. A left-hander off a right-hander, you give up on it quickly, but there's not a lot of speed, man, and that thing sweeps across the outside corner like that. Tough pitch.
If it hit that very back corner where
they hit the black, maybe right, get right on the edge. You betcha.
I'm outvoted. I didn't think it hit it, but you think it did?
You thought it was a ball?
Producer?
You think it's a ball?
I thought it was outside.
Thought it was outside.
I would think you, as a former hitter, would think that ball was outside. Now, if I'm working with Scott Erickson, he's saying, "Oh, that ball's definitely a strike."
Well, I think what I said was I thought it was okay that he called it a strike, right? Okay. I mean, that's it's a little bit different, especially with 2 strikes. I do think you got to be a little closer to the plate, then it's easier to handle.
Sure, too close to take with 2 strikes for sure.
Now, I'm one of the few guys that would say that. A lot of guys in the big leagues now, you know what they'd say? They'd say, like, no, I took it because it's a ball. There is no too close. It's either a strike or a ball. Like, that's how they want to be that precise.
Right.
They're not going to give in to that too close stuff.
And then there was Ted Williams. There was a young pitcher who threw a pitch and was complaining that it wasn't called a strike. Ted Williams was the hitter, and the umpire shouted out, "Young man, Mr. Williams will let you know when it's a strike."
I believe that. There you go.
Two and 2 to Keaton Wise. Struck out swinging in the 3rd inning, and then one of the key plays in the game, laid down a sacrifice bunt with 1st and 2nd none out in the 5th inning. And Sam Tweet's throw to first was high, his 2nd error of the game, and it loaded them up with none out. And that brought Eisert out of the bullpen. And Eisert got the first 2 outs, a foul out and a strikeout, but then Zach Bierman hit the 3-run double.
You know, we've been talking quite a bit earlier today just about the travels of a team like Coastal Carolina with all the games, and sometimes you forget about all the gear that they have to bring with them. Everywhere they go, they've got gear and bats. The poor freshmen. I'm sure the freshmen are great.
Yeah.
You know, in the big leagues, we always had an equipment manager. You know, back in the day with me was a guy named Frank who would always make sure everything was packed. Koppenberg, he'd make everything packed, ready to go. Not here. I even saw before the game with Oregon State, Adley Rutschman.
Breaking ball got him.
Adley Rutschman was walking up right after the San Diego game ended earlier today. He had 4 bags of junk. You know, just the travel that these guys have to do and all that stuff.
Good slider from Eisert. You mean you're the most outstanding player in the College World Series and you can't find somebody to carry your bags?
I mean, I was behind him. It was him and Fennell, and I'm like, they're looking behind like they're dropping stuff, and I'm like, really? Like, you can't condense a little bit of that, Rutschman?
Corey Wood, the leadoff man, 0 for 3. Came in hitting .356. Want to keep him up the base paths. He's 10 for 10 in stolen base attempts. Fouled out against Isert 2 innings ago.
Wow.
Plate umpire Joe Burleson flinched a little bit. 1 ball and 1 strike to Wood.
Well, I guess he thought that might have been a little bit low. I thought it was a strike.
One pitch. Outside corner 1-2.
I think U-turn was asking, wasn't that the same spot, same location? Oh, no.
Woods, tough guy to strike out. Last year, more than twice as many walks as strikeouts. 52 walks, only 23 strikeouts. Isert's got him by the neck. Got him.
Yeah.
5 Ks now for Brandon Isert.
Trying to stay on the outer half of the plate here with this fastball. He just, I mean, this is one of those cases where Rutschman splits the outside part of the plate, maybe even a little bit. See how he extends a little bit past the corner, but he catches the ball in the middle of his body. It gives that look that it's a strike that's right on the corner, even though it was questionable.
There's something about certain catchers and the way they set up. Kansas City Royals pitchers talk about how they love to pitch to Salvador Perez, who, by the way, is going to miss this season after Tommy John surgery. But Salvy's such a big target back at the plate. They said it makes home plate look bigger.
Well, he's really good about doing the same thing. So, you know, a lot of times you'll see kids try to frame pitches by working their wrist. You know, they catch it and pop their wrist down or do things like that. And the umpires, they see that. I mean, that doesn't really work. How it works is you get the bigger guys like Perez, like a guy like a Charlie O'Brien. This is going back a little bit into the 80s, 90s, that sort of thing. They were bigger bodied and knew how to like move their body as the pitch was approaching to catch it in the center of their body. It gave it the look that it was right where I was set up, which was, it can trick an umpire into it.
0-2 pitch to Cameron Piercy. Still 0-2. When Oregon State comes up in the top of the 8th inning, they'll have the meat of the order. Rutschman, Phillip, and Malone due up. If anybody's aboard, Preston Johns. Now Oregon State entering this game is 12-1, but it remains to be seen what kind of offensive club they are without the likes of Grenier and Madrigal and Larnach and Kwan. One ball and 2 strikes to Cameron Piercy. Michael Gretler, another key contributor, gone. What a draft for Oregon State last year. 4 first-rounders.
Crazy. There might be a lot of donating down the road back to the program when you have 4 first-rounders going out of there.
3 first-rounders. We had Madrigal, 4th pick, Larnach, the 20th pick, Grenier, the 37th pick. Brandon Isert strikes out the side in order. We're going to the top half of the 8th inning. Beavs trailing at 4-3. Talking about Oregon State having 3 guys in the first round taken last year. How about across the Pac-12? Top 2 rounds. Tanner Dobson, number 71. Chris Bubich, number 40. Grenier, number 37. That's a first rounder sandwiched between the first and second round. Nico Horner, number 24 to the Cubs. Saw him play in the minor leagues last year. Trevor Larnach, number 20. Nick Madrigal, the 4th overall pick. And Oregon State also had Stephen Kwan taken in the 5th round. Michael Gretler in the 10th round. New right fielder is Turner Bias. Takes over for Jake Wright. Adley Rutschman coming up representing the tying run, facing the side-arming right-hander Alaska Abney into his second inning of work. 2 groundouts and a strikeout in a 1-2-3-7.
Abney, another pitcher up there, the sidewinder, who gets on the outside part of the rubber. He's on the opposite side. See, that heel there is just barely touching the rubber.
Two balls and no strikes to Rutschman. Now paints the outside edge, 2-1. Back to a breaking ball again, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Rutschman reached base on an error in the first inning, walked and scored in the third. Infield hit to third base in the 5th. 2-2 from Abney. Toward the hole, past the diving third baseman Wise into left field. Leadoff man aboard. Adley Rutschman. Inning starter for Oregon State. Our State Farm here to help life go right highlights center around Bo Phillip. Back in the first inning, had an infield hit on a shot to short. Then ate up Scott McKeon, brought home a run, and in the third inning pounded a 2-run double to put Oregon State up 3-0.
Well, he's been their guy so far offensively. He had another hard hit ball later in the game as well. So it's a good spot for him to be able to handle the bat. I'll be interested to see, hitting in your 3 spot, one of your hottest hitters, if he will square to bunt. I know yesterday at this same situation, different guy, and there he is. He is going to go ahead and square.
Oregon State last year led the Pac-12 in sacrifice bunts, and through about the first 10 games this year, they didn't have many, but they've logged a bunch since then. They have 10 sacrifice bunts this season.
You know, it's interesting because let's say he does lay down the bunt, gets Rutschman over. You have an open base for Tyler Malone, which I would think that they would pitch around to possibly get to Preston Jones. One thing about Preston Jones, Coach Bailey talks about him being a hybrid. He's not really a table setter. He's not really a guy that drives and runs. He can do a little bit of both, and I think that makes Preston Jones somewhat dangerous in that spot.
Bunt is down. Abney picks it up. Play to first. In time down to Bierman. And Rutschman with the tying run down to second base. Take a look at the bunt from Bo Phillip.
Not bad. I mean, he squares early. He gets out on that front foot. I've never been a big proponent of getting all your weight out on the front foot when you bunt. I think sometimes it can be tough to reach the outside part, but he does a nice job of killing it.
So here's Malone. We'll see how much he gets to hit. And the pitching coach, Drew Thomas, going to go out and talk things over with Abney, as there's a left-hander throwing out in the bullpen, and they're going to go to the pen.
Yep.
So Abney coming out. It'll be a lefty-lefty matchup with Tyler Malone coming up for Oregon State. Tying run at second here in the top half of the 8th inning. 1 out. Coastal Carolina leading at 4-3. Back in a moment to Seattle. Pac-12 baseball is presented by Opus Bank, the official bank of the Pac-12 Conference. And brought to you by State Farm, here to help life go right. What a great shot of Elliott Bay with the Olympics in the background. Coastal Carolina leading Oregon State 4-3 here in the Seattle Baseball Showcase. Game 1 of our doubleheader today. Game 2 will be at 7 o'clock, Minnesota against Washington. The new pitcher is left-hander Anthony Veneziano, the third left-hander utilized by Coastal Carolina today. Veneziano 6'5", 205 from Hackettstown, New Jersey. And he's been a starter. This is his 5th appearance and 2nd out of the bullpen. 2-0, 3.86 ERA.
Well, he's got 16 strikeouts, and I venture to say he's going to be somewhat careful here with Malone. He's going to go at him and try to go for a strikeout. They had a long meeting. His pitching coach, I think that was Drew Thomas, that brought him in. Typically, it's like you hand him the ball and you go. He had a long meeting about how they want to handle him as well as Preston Jones. In fact, a lot of times you talk to pitchers at the big league level, not only do they pitch to the guy in front of them, they'll pitch to the guy that's on deck or even in the hole. You have to know, what's your game plan for the guy sitting there on deck.
Like Greg Maddux said, you're not pitching to batters, you're pitching to lineups.
You're pitching to lineups and who might come in. And if you don't know who might pinch hit, who might you by facing, have a plan.
All right, back really quickly to the Phil Niekro thing. I said knuckleballs, the last pitch, and Steve Bigham points out that from the article, Jeff Burrow striking out 3 knuckleballs, all to the last batter.
Oh, really? Then he brought him out.
So in the interest of accuracy, 3 knuckleballs to end the game.
We're all about accuracy.
Rutschman at second, the tying run as Tyler Malone comes up. He has struck out twice and grounded out. Big hitter for Oregon State last year in their run to the College World Series title. Actually had 5 consecutive games with a home run.
You're hot, you're hot.
Matter of fact, he'd got 100 career at-bats without a home run. And in the last April, he had 5 home runs and 17 at-bats. And then he went 2 months without another, and then hit 3 in a 10 at-bat stretch over 4 games in the College World Series. Oh, into the count to Malone. Veneziano coming in and painting the outside corner at the knees. Look at this.
Boy, that ball looked outside, didn't it? Of course, that's, I guess we've been questioning a few of them in the last inning or so.
As long as the umpire's consistent, right? Breaking ball got him. Got to hit him with fastballs 0-2 and then strikes him out on the breaking ball.
Yeah, and it was not a good breaking ball either. I mean, the pitch before questionable, but he kept it down. This ball is up. I think that's why Malone is upset with himself. It's certainly a pitch up at the belt where at least you think you're going to foul it off.
Yeah. Here's Preston Jones, who got a breaking ball up and got a base hit to left his last time up, then was thrown out of the plate. Rivers to McKeon to Skeels after initially being ruled safe. That ended the top of the 6th inning. Umpires did get the call right in calling him out. On 1 the count. Now 0-2. He pumped that one up there a little bit, Stock.
Yeah, we don't have any sort of a gun or anything like that, but it looks to me like he's throwing harder than what we've seen today. Certainly Preston Jones was late on that swing.
On to the count. Tying run at second near the top of the 8th inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Veneziano last worked 4 days ago at home against Wake Forest. His first relief appearance. 2 innings, no hits, no runs, a walk and 2 Ks. Coastal's 14-8 win over the Demon Deacons. And he got him. They leave Rutschman at second base. We're going to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Coastal Carolina trying to knock off the Beavs here in Seattle. Preston Jones down on strikes to end the threat. 4-3 Coastal. Hey, you know what? Mariners Fan Fest is coming up in a couple of weeks. Special 2-day weekend event here at T-Mobile Park, March 23rd and 24th. There's a full team workout, player autographs, interactive attractions, and more. Tickets are only $10. All kids 14 and under are free. That's right, kids 14 and under, free. The rest of you only $10 a piece. Join the fun at mariners.com/fanfest.
Bring your camera, line them up,
Yeah.
get a picture.
That's, they'll have already played 2 regular season games in Tokyo on the 20th and 21st. They come back home, and then before they have their home opener against the Red Sox on a Thursday the previous weekend, you get to see the Fan Fest.
I have to say, in regards to the Fan Fest, as you see, the new pitcher is actually Mitchell Verberg, I believe. Am I right, Rich?
You're right. His 5th game, all in relief. No record, 2.45 ERA. He last worked a week ago today in the 2-0 loss at home to West Virginia, inning in the 3rd. No hits, a walk, and no runs. Didn't pitch last year because of a back injury, so he had to watch the title season from the sidelines. Was an excellent quarterback at Lake Oswego High School near Portland. Also played basketball. So 3-sport star at Lake Oswego High. Fastball, slider, and change. No swing, says Joe Iron Maiden. Was it you I was working with where a couple years ago we called him Joe Iron Maiden? I can't remember.
That's what happens right after 50. That was low, sorry. I don't think that was me. I don't remember that. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
But 1-1 strike for Zach Bierman. Might have been JT Snow. Bierman, the biggest hit in this game, the 3-run double in the 5th inning. Turned a 3-1 deficit into a 4-3 lead. Change up.
Good pitch right there. It kind of changed the speed, of course, mixing it up as much as you can. Remember, the pitch that hurt the Beavers before was a fastball in. Strong enough hitter here. If you get it inside, he can fight it off, try to keep him off balance.
Breaking ball missed. Matt Erdenson, Bobby Holmes at work in the Coastal bullpen. When Oregon State comes up in the top of the 9th inning, they'll have the left-hander Joe Casey, and then the right-handers Ryan Ober and Troy Claunch due up. Strike 3 called over the outside corner to Bierman. Doesn't like the call.
That's a good pitch.
Heck of a pitch.
Yeah.
Kyle Skeels coming up. He struck out twice. Reached base on catcher's interference. Tweed struck out 5. Iser struck out 7. That was the first K for Verberg. So 13 Chanticleers have gone down on strikes. Toward deep left center field. Jones just shy of the track, brings it in. Skeels flies out to left center. In July, that ball might have threatened getting out of here.
Might have, or if the roof was extended, it's possible it could have been a different flight.
Mitchell Verberg, 6'3", 195 pounds. A couple of years ago, as a true freshman, 14 games, all in relief. 1-0, 0.93 ERA, but then again, he missed last year with a back injury. 4-3 Coastal. Chanticleers had all 4 of their runs in that 5th inning. 0-1 to Jared Johnson. Jared Johnson last year with North Arkansas Junior College led all of JC in home runs with 18. He had 447. A couple of years ago, he had attended Ranger College in Ranger, Texas, about 90 miles west of Fort Worth, and didn't play baseball
at all.
And then last year he dominates in junior college, and here he is at D1.
There are so many different ways to get to where you want to go. If you have a goal to play at a D1 or D2, it doesn't happen for everybody, but it doesn't mean if it doesn't start right out of high school, wherever it might be, there are lots of opportunity in any sport, whether it's golf or baseball or basketball. A little tougher maybe in other sports. Basketball helps obviously if you're tall or whatever it might be, but baseball has that opportunity.
Ground ball to Ober at second, stays with it, and the side retired. 1-2-3 inning for Mitchell Verberg. Now let's see what the Beavs can do as we head to the 9th inning. Casey Ober and Claunch due up. 4-3 Coastal.
Yep.
Erdenson in the bullpen, Holmes in the bullpen, but it's Veneziano who's still out there, and why not after striking out both hitters in the 8th inning. And for Oregon State, Jake Harvey is going to come up and pinch hit to start things off. Jake Harvey 2 for 6 this year, true freshman out of Kennewick, Washington, southeastern part of the state, to Southridge High School there. Last year as a senior, hit .517 with 9 home runs. Big pinch hit appearance here, his first at bat of the weekend, facing Anthony Veneziano. Batting for Joe Casey. Harvey 5'11", 178. One ball and one strike. Veneziano trying to close things out. 2-1 to Harvey. A lot of noise coming out of the Oregon State dugout. Jake Harvey's brother Kyle, junior this year at NAIA Indiana Tech. 2-2. Ryan Ober due up next. The 2-2 from Veneziano. Strike 3 called. Beavs down to their last 2 outs.
That was just a heavy diet of fastballs here. Just he wasn't going to see anything coming off the bench. He swung, and the one that he did swing at actually was a little bit low. The last 2 strikes just down the middle. Not quite sure what he was looking at there. It's tough when you're not used to pitch hitting, when you're not used to coming off and being aggressive. You have to be aggressive coming off. It can be tough to get your mind to work that way when you're a player who's always been one to see a lot of pitches.
Ryan Ober is struck out fly to right and doubled to left center. I was talking with former major leaguer Randy Reddy, who was a pretty good pinch hitter in his time, and he said that when he would go up to hit, he would act like the count was 0-2 as soon as he stepped in the box.
As a pinch hitter.
As a pinch hitter.
Yeah. You know, Randy and I go way back. He came to Philadelphia one year, came in the mid-season, so he needed a place to stay. He didn't have a place for his dogs. He had 2 big dogs. So I said, yeah, we'll take him for 3 days. He goes, okay. He took him for 3 days, and they destroyed my backyard.
Oh, really?
100%. We had a dog, he had 2 dogs, and by the time we had no more grass left of it. It was just mud, and honestly,
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Honestly, months later, we ended up just putting patio in because we could not grow any more grass.
Because of Randy Reddy's
dogs.
3-0 the count to Ryan Ober. He'll be taken all the way. Now 3-1. Veneziano coming in, 16 in the 3rd innings. 5 walks, 16 Ks. He's K'd all 3 batters to face him here. Full count to Ober.
And I think he was taking all the way. I don't have a problem with that. He's trying to be a base runner around there. I will say in a 3-run count, he's dealing. I mean, right now, up there throwing his fastball looks pretty nasty. You might want to be a little bit more selective 3-1. Now 3-2, you got to let it loose.
I wonder if we'll see Bobby Holmes if Clonch comes up representing the winning run. Still a full count. Seventh pitch of the duel coming up. Ober has 4 hits in 12 at-bats this year. Ball 4, and the tying runs on base with 1 down here in the top of the 9th inning. Pat Bailey coming out to announce the pinch runner. Kyle McMahon to run for Ryan Ober. McMahon has 1 stolen base this year. Last year, a dozen games, and just 7 at-bats. Didn't attempt to steal. And Troy Clonch coming up. And the pitching coach, Drew Thomas, is coming out. And that figures to be it for Veneziano. Now 2 right-handers in the pen, Erdenson and Holmes. That'll be a pitch and change here. It's Bobby Holmes who's coming in to face Troy Clonch, setting up the righty-righty matchup here in the 9th inning with the tying run at first and the winning run coming to the plate, and 1 down. Back in a moment to T-Mobile Park in Seattle after this. Great views of downtown from here at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. 4-3 Coastal Carolina leads at top of the 9th inning. 1 on, 1 out. And right-hander Bobby Holmes comes out of the bullpen. 6'2", 180 pounds from Athens, Georgia. Oconee County High School. And Holmes brings with him an ERA of 13.5. Now 5 1/3 innings, 7 hits. 8 runs all earned, 5 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Holmes is the one holdover who played extensively during their College World Series run 3 years ago. Pitched in 5 of Coastal's 8 College World Series games. 1-0 with a save and a 2.53 ERA. He was big in both wins over Arizona. And now as a redshirt senior, coming in here with the tying run at first and the winning run coming to the plate in the person of Troy Clonch, who is 1 for 3 today. 5 hits and 24 at-bats this season. Does have a home run. The day Mark McGuire hit home runs number 57 and 58 back in 1998, breaking Hack Wilson's National League record. And that was the day Troy Clonch was born. And here he is more than 20 years later. That one gets away from the catcher. Skeels. Down to second goes McMahon with the tying run. Huge wild pitch on the first pitch from Bobby Holmes.
Interesting to see where this ball hit in front of the plate, just because of the way that Skeels went to grab it. There was no effort to block it. Again, that's defensively, as your catcher has to get out there and smother that. He'll have a much better chance of freezing the base runner as opposed to reaching out.
Heavily partisan Oregon State crowd here. They always travel well. Easy freeway drive up from Portland. And they're into the Let's Go Beavers chant here. See if Clonch can tie it up against Holmes. In the dirt. Is that a split, Stock?
I think it's more of a slider. I don't know that he throws a split coming off of a Tommy John surgery. I don't think that the split is something that he's throwing, but
yeah, just a
it's not
slider
even
that
close.
spiked.
Yeah.
He last worked 4 days ago against Wake Forest. 2 innings, 2 hits, 3 runs all earned, 3 walks. That's all the way to the backstop, and the tying run, McMahon going over to third base. 3 pitches, 2 of them wild pitches, and now Coastal will have to bring the infield in.
Now Kyler at third base has to take that. Watch this ball off the wall behind Skeels, the catcher. It hits there and bounces right back to him. Now you've got to notice that. I guarantee you the third base coach down there, Jenkins, knows that. I mean, he's telling him, hey, look, you can't just take off on a wild pitch. You got to read it a little bit. It's Andy Jenkins there coaching at third base.
3-0 the count to Troy Clonch. Taken all the way, 3-1.
Now you're not taking here if you're Clonch. You're going to be very selective. Look for a ball belt or even a little bit higher. Try something. If you get a ball up in the zone to swing it, it's much easier to hit the ball in the air. Maybe a sac fly would be perfect. Right now, anything down around the knees or lower, you tend to hit a ground ball.
Greg Fuchs on deck to pinch hit. There's a line drive, punched into right. It's a base hit. The game is tied at 4. Troy Clonch sending one the opposite way to bring home the tying run.
Way out on his front foot here with the breaking ball. He just stays on it. Nice job keeping his hands through that. Clutch hit right there for Clonch.
He'll be taken out of the game. Wade Meckler comes in to pinch run. And pinch hitting for the Beavs will be Greg Fuchs. Opening day in Surprise, Arizona. Greg Fuchs, his first college game for the defending College World Series champions. Down 5-4 in the bottom of the 9th inning. His first college plate appearance, he had a pinch hit, 2-run walk-off single.
He's all about first.
Yeah.
Looks like that's going to be it. They're going to make a change.
So Holmes comes in, wild pitch, then ball 2, then a wild pitch. So McMahon went from first to third. That meant the infield had to come in. And Clonch punched one into right field to bring home the tying run. Hey, we're tied, top of the 9th inning. Oregon State has evened it up. And the right-hander Matt Urdenson comes out of the bullpen for Coastal Carolina to replace Bobby Holmes. Disastrous outing for Holmes, and he gave up 2 wild pitches. That was the first one allowing McMahon to go to second base, and then McMahon over to third base on that wild pitch 2 pitches later. And then Troy Clonch slaps it into right to tie the game.
You know, and that's not what they expect from him, being a veteran guy. Granted, he's coming back from injury, still trying to get a little bit of rhythm, but that's what they want. They want the veteran guys to be able to come in and throw strikes. Boy, he wasn't even close there.
The one holdover from their College World Series title team 3 years ago, Bobby Holmes, struggles here. And he'll be facing the pinch hitter, Greg Fuchs. Fuchs, a local kid from Mercer Island, Washington. Matt Urdenson, meanwhile, is from Omaha. Millard West High School, went to Iowa Western Community College.
Pretty good numbers, though, right there as far as 4 walks, 17 strikeouts. He will fill the zone.
Second team All Sun Belt last year. Here's Greg Fuchs. Had the walk-off 2-run single in the bottom of the 9th inning on opening day. Now here he is with the winning run at first base. Wade Meckler, the go-ahead run, pardon me. We're in the top of the 9th inning. 0-1 the count. To the pinch hitter, Greg Fuchs. Fuchs from Mercer Island, Washington. Mercer Island High School, All-State in Washington last year at 486 with 3 home runs. One ball, one strike.
That's one thing about these tournaments and this atmosphere that it's hard to create anywhere else. Like back in the day with doubleheaders everywhere, the parks weren't nice. Here you're at T-Mobile Park and you're a young kid up to the plate in the 9th inning. I mean, it's an experience that you can only dream a lot of times in your backyard, and now these guys get it now. Now translate that months down the road, they hope to be in a bigger situation.
Shallow center field. That's going to fall in front of Rivers for a base hit, and the go-ahead run is down at second. A pinch hit for Greg Fuchs. He's now 4 for 11 here in his true freshman season.
But this is where I've been impressed so much with Oregon State over the years that we've covered them, is how they're able to, in situations like this, and I think Coach Casey in the past always talked about how he had to have soldiers and guys in the trenches later in the year. You want to give him the shots early. Here, that's a pitch hit experience for him right there that he'll remember. You hope then at the end of May, when you're in regional play or you're getting ready to, you can call on him again, and now he won't be surprised. He'll have done it before.
2 on with 1 out. A run home. We're tied at 4. Alex McGarry, doubled, walked, and struck out twice, is the hitter. 1 ball and no strikes. McGarry also had a big hit in that opening day win. Pinch runner for Greg Fuchs. Jake Dukart comes in to pinch run. And then he'll figure to stay in the game and play third base. Jake Harvey pinch hit and struck out. Ryan overwalked. Kyle McMahon pinch ran for him. Troy Claunch, after a couple of wild pitches, sent McMahon to third. Claunch had the base hit to right to score the tying run. Meckler pinch ran for him. He's the go-ahead run at second. Fuchs the hit. One ball and 1 strike to McGarry. This hits McGarry's foot. Right on the toe. Erdenson, the 6th pitcher for Coastal Carolina today. Meckler at second, Dukart at first. Ground ball to short, gobbled up by McKee, and he goes to Wood. He goes over to Bierman, and the inning is over. Oregon State gets 1 to tie it. We're going to the last half of the 9th inning. All even at 4 here in Seattle. 4-4 tie going to the bottom half of the 9th inning. A lot of defensive changes for Oregon State. Preston Jones moves from center field to left field. There's Jake Harvey, who stays in the game to play second base. Kyle McMahon, who pinch ran, stays in the game to play center field. And Jake Dukart, who also pinch ran. There's McMahon. Dukart stays in the game to play third base. And Mitchell Verberg, who worked a scoreless bottom of the 8th inning, 1, 2, 3 frame, stays on to work the 9th. There's Jake Dukart. Keaton Rivers has started off. He's got the pop to end this game with 1 swing. Had 5 home runs last year as a junior, 1 so far this year. Doubled and scored back in the 4-run 5th inning. Ducard guarding the line at third, playing in for the bunt possibility. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rivers can run a little bit, want to keep him off the base paths. Now 1 and 2.
Couple of big cuts. I mean, you know what's on his mind. And actually, I don't have a problem with that. I think he's looking dead red fastball. I don't think that he'll get it in this particular count.
One ball and 2 strikes, and he got him.
Yep. He was wrong. Good fastball.
Good life on that.
Yeah.
If we have a 10th inning, Oregon State would send up Rutschman, Phillip, and Malone, 2, 3, and 4. One ball and no strikes to Turner Bice. Came on to play right field. His first at bat, 1 for 10 this year. 2 balls and no strikes.
I'm starting to hear this crowd now, right? This is the crowd that was here last time.
Yeah.
It's interesting too with the Oregon State fans is there's a ton of them behind their dugout, but they spread out, and there's a ton behind the Coastal Carolina dugout that are very loud.
This is outside, 3 balls and no strikes.
See some more, all that orange color right there next to their dugout. Some of those guys
it's
over
a
there
vocal crowd.
Oh yeah,
to say the least. 3-1 to Bice. Turner Bice redshirted a couple of years ago in his first year at Coastal Carolina after Tommy John surgery. Played sparingly in his 2 years at Cal State Fullerton, combined 18 games, hit 200 with 1 home run. Bias takes strike 2. So from 3-0 to 3-2. First pitch coming up for Mitchell Verberg. Still a full count. Sam Tweed started 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 1 earned, a walk and 5 Ks. Then Brandon Isert, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 7 Ks. And now Verberg has retired the first 4 to face him. That's fouled off his foot.
It was a good at bat. This is what you want from someone in this situation. He comes in, makes him throws a lot of pitches.
Be the 8th pitch of this duel.
Temperature has dropped quite a bit, Rich.
I noticed that.
Was that? A little space heater is no longer working.
Payoff pitch coming up to Bias. That's towards shallow right. Jake Harvey backing out. And they're 2 down. Jake Harvey inserted into the game as a pinch hitter in the top of the inning. Now playing second base. Scott McKeon coming up. Soft line out to short and a lunging play by Bo Phillip. Base it to left and then struck out on a check swing. And he had the great relay from shallow left center field to cut down Preston Jones at home plate. Otherwise, Oregon State might have the lead. 1 ball and no strikes to McKeon. Has 1 home run this year. 0 for 4 last night. Snapped a 14-game hitting streak. Breaking ball from Burk. 1 ball and 1 strike. And remember, when we're done, we ain't done.
We ain't done.
Baseball.
Yep.
7 o'clock. University of Washington against Minnesota. I wonder if they'll extend the roof.
I believe they will extend the roof.
1-1 pitch. 2 balls and 1 strike.
The other nice thing about playing here on this field at this park is you get the Mariners ground screw, and they're out there busting their tail in between the games the full bit, and then they let them take ground balls. Not a full infield, but they let them have at it. Full access to the field.
Nice. 2-2 to McKeon. This being a tournament here, the Seattle Baseball Showcase, no new inning can start when the game is 3.5 hours old. And we're 22 minutes away, maybe 27 minutes away from that. We started at 3:05.
About another inning, maybe. They've had 2 games already, only go 8 during this.
2-2 pitch. Out towards center field, and Kyler McMahon. Side retired. Mitchell Verberg has retired all 6 hitters to face him. We're going to extra innings. To the top of the 10th we go, tied at 4. We're going to the 10th inning here at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Game 1 of our doubleheader here today as we kick off coverage of baseball on Pac-12 Network for 2019 from T-Mobile Park. And when this game's over, there's going to be, I think they require 50 minutes, 50 minutes between games. And so Washington, Minnesota will not be beginning at 7:05 as scheduled. We'll be back with you 45 minutes after this one is over. And here in the 10th inning for Oregon State, Adley Rutschman will start it off. And he will get the bat from the left side for the 2nd time in the game. Had a base hit to left off the right-hander Alaska Abney in the 8th inning. Now facing Matt Erdenson. 0-1 to Rutschman. A couple of days ago, Rutschman hit a 2-run 6th inning home run. The only offense they would get, the only offense they would need, and the win over Minnesota. Big hack there.
Boy, that was a real good cut there. You could tell, you could see him kind of trying to take that first pitch, and hope that he gets to that point where he can kind of jump and guess a little bit. We call that ambushing, which he did. He just missed it.
Oh, 2 to Adley. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Talked earlier in the game about how he had made some adjustments from his freshman year to now, and some of those adjustments have to go with thought process, but also mechanically, and they've worked really hard on his spine angle. You can see where he's much more into the action, left and right hand. In other words, that front shoulder is down, his hands are up, but not drastically up. That was a change for him from his freshman to his sophomore year, working on the spine angle. They work with everybody. Rhythm is a big part of that. You'll see him moving his hands a little bit when he gets set. Little hand movement.
2-2. Full count. 1-out walk in the last inning led to the tying run. Your spine angle when you're talking about the golf swing. But I haven't heard about it much talking about the baseball stance and swing.
Yeah, it's the verbiage that Oregon State will use as spine angle. Something that I would say would be more about, hey, let's get your shoulder and head into the action.
Ball 4, had him 0-2 and lost him. Rutschman, as we've seen, scoring from first on the double by Bo Phillip back in the 3rd inning, has pretty good wheels, especially for a catcher, and being the heart and soul of this team, and with the backup catcher Troy Claunch already removed from this game, they won't be pinch running for Rutschman.
Now, I would think he would be bunting here going on tap. Here's the thing, how you got to look again on deck. If Malone gets up there with Rutschman on second, I think they walk him and they look down the line to somebody like Preston Jones is going to be in there righty against righty. There's lots of different things. At some point, maybe you let Bo swing.
I agree.
You let
right
him hack
here.
it.
Totally agree, because you mentioned Malone is next. Does he get a chance to hit? You know, do they pitch around him? And then Jones, and then after that, you got Jake Harvey, Kyler McMahon. Infield hit for Phillip in the first inning, a 2-run double in the third. He's knocked home 3 of the 4 runs. Checking out Andy Jenkins down the line in the third base coaching box. Oh, 1 pitch. Center field, Cameron Piercy. And pardon me, Keaton Rivers brings it in. And there's 1 down. When Coastal Carolina comes up in the bottom of the 10th inning, they'll have 9, 1, and 2. Wise, Wood, and Piercy due up.
So now by doing that, by letting him swing, even though I know Bo's not happy about flying out and he didn't get a good pitch to hit, you know, by flying out though, now he's going to allow Malone to be able to take advantage, at least you hope, of pulling a ball through that hole.
He does pull one. It's a foul ball, gloved by the first baseman, Zach Bierman. Nothing in 1. All quiet on the Western Front. All quiet in the Oregon State bullpen. Mitchell Verberg, having retired all 6 to face him, will be back out for the bottom of the 10th.
And that surprised me a little bit. There was one guy on the bench that does not have a jacket on. That down there would be their closer. That's Mulholland down there. He was up a little bit the last half inning throwing, so I've got to believe if there's somehow take a lead here, he would pop up pretty quick.
He's certainly rested enough.
And he threw yesterday and was great. Lights out. I think he'd be ready to go. And that's the other trick with these guys. Coastal Carolina is very similar. If you have a closer on your team, sometimes there he is. There's Mulholland down there. You wonder why. No jacket, but I think he's been up throwing, and I think he's kind of ready. You also have to find opportunities for him to get into save situations.
Right.
Sometimes they don't get enough innings.
One to Tyler Malone. 2 balls and a strike. Two balls and 1 strike, 1 out. Rutschman taking his lead at first base. He's the go-ahead run. And now 3-1. Good crowd here for Oregon State, though it's hard to tell with a 40,000+ seat ballpark.
Yeah.
But they're making their usual noise, making themselves known. 3-1. Rutschman goes, and the pitch is in there, and the throw down, they got him.
Yeah, that's a mistake there on your hitter. That's where Tyler Malone, I'm not sure what he's doing. That is what it's not actually a straight steal. It's not a hit and run.
It's a run and hit.
It's a run and hit. Malone takes a fastball right down the gut. And he's supposed to be swinging. 3-1, you're supposed to be swinging. That's a close play. Still made it very close at second base, but Malone's got to be swinging.
Now he's got to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Inside out, fouled off. Still a full count.
And that's a risky play. I played with Jim Fregosi with the Phillies, and he was automatic. It was automatic 3-2, 3-1, 3-2. You steal. If you're on first base, it's automatic unless he takes it off. It puts a lot more pressure on the hitter because again, in a 3-1 count as a hitter, you're trying to box it up and get your pitch to hit. That's the challenge. Okay. Now I'm guessing in that case it might have been a sign that was put on. If it's a fastball, you got to swing.
Still 3-2 to Malone. Payoff pitch. Ball 4. Second walk of the inning. But there are 2 outs and 1 on because of what appeared to be a missed sign, and Rutschman caught stealing. Preston Jones coming up. Jones started game 2 of the finals against Arkansas, went 1 for 3. Getting more playing time during the College World Series last year with the injury to Stephen Kwan. Malone hasn't attempted a steal. Gets back to the bag on ball 1. Malone last year, 53 games, stole 1 base. Four tie, top of the 10th inning. Erdenson to Jones. Breaking ball for a strike. Jones has 4 doubles this year to go along with 1 home run, his second collegiate home run. Had 1 last year. Had about a year ago early in conference play against the University of Washington. Malone back in on the Erdenson pickoff. To repeat, Coastal in the bottom of the 10th inning. We'll have Wise, Wood, and Piercy due up. That's 9-1-2. One pitch. 1-2, and depending on how things play out with the clock, let's see, 6:20 right now, got about 15 minutes. Oregon State would have to hurry to close things out in the bottom of the 10th inning to get another shot to get the 11th. Otherwise, they'd be playing for a tie because tournament rules, what with 3 games in 1 day, no new inning starts after we reach 3.5 hours. One and 2 to Jones. Strike 3 called. Oregon State got a leadoff walk to Adley Rutschman, but then an apparent missed sign, and he's caught stealing. And then after Malone walks, Jones strikes out looking. We are going now to the bottom half of the 10th, still tied at 4. We're going now to the last half of the 10th inning, all tied at 4. Oregon State and Coastal Carolina. Mitchell Burk back out for his 3rd inning of work. And George Mendozona has come into the game to play second base. Jake Harvey, pinch hit in the 9th inning, stayed in the game to play second base in the bottom of the 9th, caught a pop-up. And now he gets lifted in favor of George Mendozona. If we get to an 11th inning, Mendozona would be leading things off. Now, the way we get to an 11th inning is if Mitchell Verberg takes care of business quickly. There's about 13 minutes until the cutoff when no new inning would begin by tournament rule. Keaton Wise, the hitter. The corners are in, fearful of the bunt. 0-1.
It's interesting to me, too, that your leadoff hitter in Coastal Carolina, you have Keaton swinging at the first pitch right away. And then trying to work a walk or try to get yourself onto base.
9-1-2 with Wood and Piercy to follow. Fly ball out toward right field. Come over toward the line is Malone, still coming, and makes the catch before hitting that railing like Joe Casey did in left field earlier. Not much foul territory down there where the stands come out. Good play by Malone.
This ball goes up. At some point, you see he's on a full tilt here running. He does peak, which you have to do. Remember now, this is a new position for him, too. It's not like he's been out there. This is not And it's also not something you can really work on a whole lot of, especially at their home park. They don't have that down there. Nice play.
One away for Corey Wood. He's stolen 10 bases in 10 attempts this year. You don't want him aboard. Driven towards center field. McMahon has this one on his radar screen. Kyler puts it away, and on 3 pitches, 2 down. So not only is Verberg getting the outs, but he's doing it quickly, meaning it looks like, unless Coastal scores, we're going to have an 11th inning.
Yeah.
Number 6, Cameron Piercy.
Cameron Piercy struck out looking, singled to center, struck out swinging, struck out looking. So 3 Ks and a base hit. Checks up on 1. 0-1 the count. Plate umpire Joe Burleson, I think, said he went around.
The outfielders right now for Oregon State are playing quite deep. Ryan Gibson, one of the new coaches for Oregon State, handles the defensive placement.
One ball, 1 strike to Piercy.
Now if you look to the left of your screen, Preston Jones is literally 2 steps off of the warning track. Granted, it's no double situation. I get that. You don't want to give up doubles at this point, but boy, they are back there.
1-1. Now 1-2. Rangers fans wish Nelson Cruz had been playing that deep.
Yeah, right.
Game 6 of the World Series back in, what, 2010? Ooh, and that missed. 2011, I guess it was.
Not sure where Rutschman's going. He bounces out of there and hoping it's a strike, trying to help him out. This was the right call. That's a ball.
Yeah, that's outside. Not a bad sales effort there by Adley. 2-2 pitch. That's out to center field. McMahon coming in a hurry. He's got it. 1-2-3 inning. Verberg retires all 9 to face him. We are going to the top half of the 11th, and we are tied at 4. Top of the 11th inning, and we know this for sure. This will be the last inning. No new inning here in this tournament can begin after 3.5 hours. So if Oregon State is going to win this game, they have to score here. And they'll have George Mendozona, Kyler McMahon, and the DH spot due up. Wade Meckler pinch hit for Troy Claunch in the DH spot back in the 9th inning. And they will be hitting against Matt Erdenson, who came on and got a 6-4-3 double play back in the 9th inning. And then pitched around 2 walks in the 10th. Mendozona, 4 games this year, 3 for 11. He didn't play last year. He had health issues. 14 games in 2017. He was 0 for 11. One of the best prospects in Oregon a couple of years ago. 1 year at Ridgeview High School, he had 624 with 17 doubles, 11 triples, and 3 home runs.
So those are like batting practice numbers.
Yeah. Wiffle ball numbers. Both his grandfathers played baseball at Oregon State, Jim Jarvis and Henry Mendozona. And here is George, and there's a swing and a fly ball towards shallow center field. Rivers coming in. It's a leadoff base hit for Mendozona, and the go-ahead run is aboard.
We've seen a few drop in that zone out there. Now again, in that area, it's a situation too where Coastal Carolina is playing a couple steps deeper, trying to prevent that double. This is just off the end, no man's land. Mendozona aboard.
Mendozano hasn't attempted a steal at any point in his Oregon State career. Here's Kyler McMahon. See if he can get the bunt down.
Yeah, you had talked earlier about some bunt defense. This situation again, you have to throw a strike, let him bunt it. Don't try to get cute. Take the out. If they're going to give you the out, take the out.
Mendozano held on at first base by Bierman. Pitch to McMahon, pulls it back after showing bunt. 1 ball and no strikes. Is the bunt on?
It should be on.
Mendozano's first plate appearance of the weekend. He gets the bunt down. It is a good one, and it hits the chalk and goes foul. It just came off the lip of the grass. Heady play there by Matt Erdenson to let that ball roll.
Boy, how about that? This ball just catches the lip right there. Now it's interesting too, because on his first pitch, Kyler pulled back to do a little slug bunt. It looks like they're going to have a little meeting here.
What are they going to talk about?
I'm not sure. If
you can't change it to a fair ball. It was a foul ball.
I don't know if maybe they thought that he hit it with his foot. Like, I don't know.
Another look again.
I think they think it hit his foot. From their angle, it almost looks like it hits his foot.
As opposed to...
From this angle, you can tell that he doesn't kick it. He's not even close there. But from their angle, I think that they were asking that maybe he kicked it.
Gary Gilmore coming out to argue with the plate umpire Joe Burleson. It did not hit the foot of Kyler McMahon. Had it hit him in fair territory, he would have been out.
What's interesting too, because literally if you watch that and you get technical, right when his foot hit, it took a little hop on that grass. So I could totally see how it looked like he kicked it.
Right. McMahon squaring, the third baseman Wise charging, and the bunt is foul, 1-2. If this were National League rules and it was a pitcher, you'd be leaving the bunt on. In this spot, do you leave it on?
No, I mean, I know in the past Oregon State's been more aggressive than that. Pat Casey. Now this is Pat Bailey. I think Pat will let him swing. However, there is no more inning after. That's the one thing. I mean, you know that going in.
Because of the time limit, this will be the last inning. We're in the 11th. On 1-2, McMahon is not bunting. Pick to first, and Mendozano falls back in. Pat Bailey, interim head coach of the Oregon State Beavers. Been here for a long time as Pat Casey's assistant and associate head coach. 1 ball and 2 strikes to McMahon, who was unable to bunt him over.
Well, Coach Gilmore right now is not believing what he's saying. I think he's picking over there trying to see if Kyler will tip his hat a little bit. I think he's going to swing. Oregon State notoriously plays a little bit more aggressive, puts a little bit more faith in the guys. You can see now third baseman has moved back. Might just move back.
1-2 pitch. McMahon swings. It's a fly ball to center, playable for Rivers. 1 down. Oregon State did have a tie last year because of a plane they had to catch in Spokane after a game in Pullman. It ended in a 7-7 tie. So Oregon State last year was 55-12-1.
They're working on that down in Pullman, Washington as we speak. They're extending that runway down there.
Yeah.
So bigger planes can get in there.
Wade Meckler pinch ran a couple of innings ago. He has a hit in his only at-bat this year. Used a lot as a pinch runner so far this season. Rod starts the "Let's Go Beavers" chant. Keep a close eye on Mendozona again.
Yeah, the Beavers are not going to steal, right? Typically, they're not a straight steal team. So I think as far as defensively and why you see some picks over is they're expecting maybe a hit and run or something like that to create some movement. And I honestly think that would be it'd be a good idea. You know, get the middle guys moving a little bit.
There's a fly ball toward right center field. Rivers converging with Bias. It's Keaton Rivers who makes the catch. And back to first base goes Mendozona. A couple of fly balls to center. 2 down for Jake Ducart. Ducart started the year as the third baseman, but struggled offensively. 2 hits and 21 at-bats. So he's hitting .095. He had 1 at-bat in each of the first 2 games this weekend. 0 for 2 with the strikeout. Jake Ducart, last year in the fall, was a backup quarterback for Oregon State football. Found himself a little bit deep on the chart, and so he decided that he would leave the OSU football program in late September for fall baseball practice. Ducart, had it been baseball only, could have gone to Arizona State, but they didn't offer him a chance to play football, and so that's how Oregon State got him, and that's why he's on the Oregon State baseball team now.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
worked out.
Yeah, it did.
1-0. 1 ball and 1 strike. His father, Derek, played college baseball at Nebraska, then in the Yankees organization in the mid-1990s. Topped out at Double-A. One pitch to Ducart. Now 1-2. When Coastal comes up in the bottom of the 11th inning, they'll have 3, 4, and 5. Bierman, Skeels, and Johnson. And still no one throwing in the Oregon State bullpen. Looks like it will be Verberg for the bottom half of the 11th. 1-2 the count to Ducart. Strike 3 called over the outside corner. Well, we know this. Oregon State will not win this baseball game. They can salvage a tie if they can have a scoreless bottom of the 11th. The game will end after that because of the curfew with the next game to follow. Boy, what a setting here. T-Mobile Ballpark in Seattle, or T-Mobile Park, pardon me. I think some of the best views, and I've been to many, many major league stadiums. This one is at the top of the list among these newer ballparks, and some of the best views you get, upper deck right field with you can see downtown, you can see Elliott Bay, you can watch the game, just phenomenal.
Well, I see you're thinking like a fan, like from a fan's view, but from our view, from the box.
Oh yeah.
What's your best view? You have like from looking at out over a field, like where the Pirates play in Pittsburgh.
Yes,
for the press box
with
view.
the Clemente Bridge.
Oh,
yep,
ridiculous.
That is excellent.
Yeah. As long as you don't have the sun up there here at this ballpark, just baking you during a day game, you're okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal what they've created down here in this area. Just even the football stadium and this, it's beautiful.
Remarkable. Jake Mulholland is in to pitch. Mulholland coming in to work the bottom of the 11th inning and try to salvage a tie for Oregon State. And Mulholland worked yesterday, and only 3 2/3 innings so far this year.
Yeah, not a lot, right? It's deceiving. You say, oh, they're not pitching because they don't like it. He just hasn't had enough opportunities. He came in yesterday and threw and was lights out. Came in with the bases loaded and was lights out. So I actually had talked to, I think it was Nate Yeski before the game. I said, man, to me, Mulholland looks bigger. Did he gain weight? He's like, no, he didn't. I said, okay, deceiving. But I think he's just a big kid. He's a big, strong lefty. Has good stuff, fastball, good breaking ball. Throws hard.
Inning in the third yesterday through 17 pitches. Headed with the bases loaded in the 8th inning and a 6-3 lead, and got Indiana's Scotty Bradley to fly out to left. 0-1 the count to Zach Bierman. Bierman's 3-run double turned a 3-1 deficit into a 4-3 Coastal lead, and Oregon State would tie it up in the 9th inning. That one stroked toward right field, and Malone, that ball had some topspin on it, stays in the yard, and Malone brings it in. Zach Taylor in the game to play first base for Oregon State. One down here in the Coastal 11th inning. When it left Bierman's bat, you thought it had a chance.
I definitely thought it had a chance, and again, that's why you play no doubles. I mean, Malone is playing deep, only took a couple steps back, caught that right on the edge of the warning track.
Jake Mulholland last year, third team All-American, 31 games in relief, 2-0, 2.2 ERA. Kyle Skeels has struck out twice, reached base on catcher's interference, and flied out to center. Mulholland's 16 saves last year, and the last one was remarkable in that fantastic Game 2 of the finals against Arkansas. Came in with a runner at first base, struck out Eric Cole, and changeup that had some cut to it. In there for a strike. Then Casey Martin hit a shot that was headed back up the middle, and Mulholland turned it into a double play. And Oregon State had set up the winner-take-all game the next day. Fastball outside corner, and down goes Skeels. And this game is down to its last out. We're tied at 4, but again, because of the time limit here in this tournament, no inning will begin at this point.
Well, that's a pretty good pitch. I'm not sure what he's upset about. Skeels is not happy about it. Never got the bat off his shoulder. You know, he'll go back and look at this game and wonder, yeah, I probably should be swinging at that pitch.
Mike Koenig comes up to pinch hit his 11th game, 3 hits and 16 at bats with a home run. So they're looking for lightning in a bottle here. 1 ball and no strikes. Pinch hitting for the left-hand hitting Jared Johnson.
You know how many times, Rich, in my career of playing and so forth, that a coach said, hey, Stock, I want you up there just to hit a home run.
0.
I'm still waiting. I mean, can you imagine, say, okay, look, here's the deal. How many you're going to go on, I just want you to swing high fastballs, try to hit it out of the ballpark. That's it.
That's your dream. Ground ball to the left side, and it's a misplay between Ducard and Bo Phillip. And Phillip screened out a bit by Ducard as he went for it.
I would think this would be an error on Ducard at third base. I think this is a play that he's got to make. He commits to it, and you want him to cut it off. He just misses it. I think he was expecting a bigger bounce, didn't quite get down to it.
They have not made any signal yet. That is going to be an error on Ducard. And so Oregon State, 4 errors today. That doubles their total from the first 13 games combined.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think there's an offensive meeting that's going on right now. So you're allowed to do 3 offensive meetings in a game. But I've never seen it with only the coaches. There's no, as of right now, Coastal Carolina, they're talking about what they can do, what they can't do. I'm guessing whether you want to pinch run, you not want to pinch run, how do you want to handle this?
It is Koenig who, now he's coming out in favor of the pinch runner Morgan Hyde. Morgan Hyde pinch running at first base. Hyde has not attempted a steal this year. Coastal's his third school in 3 years. A couple of years ago at Gordon College, a Christian school in Wynnum, Mass. And then last year at University of South Carolina, Salkehatchie at JC in Allendale, South Carolina. And combined over the last 2 years, 15 stolen bases in 17 attempts. So the kid can run.
Yeah. So now it's a little different. A double, something in the gap down the lines. Now you have the ability in the runner on first base that you send him. I mean, you take that chance. Outfielders have to know that. Get that ball, cut it off quick, get it in quick.
Keaton Rivers, the hitter, tried to bunt for a base hit in the second inning, was thrown out, doubled, and scored in the 5th inning. Struck out in the 6th, struck out in the 9th. 4-4 tie, bottom of the 11th inning, 2 men out. There's a line drive whacked up the middle. It's a base hit. Hyde around second. He's coming to third. Throw coming in from Kyler McMahon, and the winning run is at third base with 2 down. Rivers a big base hit. It's going to be up to Tanner Bias.
Well, he's been taking big swings all game. A lot of swings and misses today for Rivers. This one he doesn't, though. Does a nice job of keeping his head and his eyes behind the baseball. That's what speed does for you here.
So this game will either end in a walk-off for Coastal Carolina, or it'll end in a tie. You have the 2nd-ranked team in the nation, Oregon State, number 16, Coastal Carolina. Each has won a College World Series within the last 3 years. And so it has come down to this in the bottom of the 11th inning with Tanner Bias, who popped out to second facing Mitchell Verberg in the 9th inning. Came into play right field in the top of the inning. Breaking ball misses. It's a big pitch. And Bias is ahead.
They're not going to hold Rivers on at first base. I'm not quite sure why he's not just taking the base. He might as well just take off.
Bias 1 for 11 this year. He takes second base as Bias takes ball 2. No stolen base for Rivers. Defensive indifference. His run truly means nothing. 4-4 tie in the bottom half of the 11th inning. Morgan Hyde, the winning run at third base with 2 down. And the 2-0. Breaking ball, and that one misses.
And it misses, but I think it's a good pitch. I mean, I think they're going to be real careful. Even though it's lefty on lefty, it really is almost better in this situation to have the bases loaded. As long as you have confidence in your pitcher, he can throw strikes, which I think he can. Now you put a force at every base. Don't give in to him.
3-0 pitch. In there for a strike came 3-0 breaking ball. The on-deck hitter, Scott McKeon, is a better hitter. McKeon had a 14-game hitting streak broken yesterday and came into this game hitting .391. Tanner Bias, the hitter, 1 for 11 this year. 3-1 pitch. And it misses, so he's going to have to deal with McKeon. Some of those, well, there were a lot of them that were close.
That last pitch, I tell you, that was, I mean, it's a great job of taking. You're not going to swing at that. I think that's why he's throwing a breaking ball, but boy, that was close. Now Rutschman's got to work. Let's take a look at that last pitch.
Strike. Good call by Joe Burleson.
We're talking about that was a strike. That was right over the plate. You didn't think so?
Sarcasm, maybe?
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that.
Let's have a look again.
This is a top view. That was right over the corner.
Yeah, that's a strike.
Now, maybe it was low, but it's a top view.
Yeski out to talk with Mulholland. Another look at it. Was it low?
There you go.
Well,
I can see that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably low. That makes a lot more sense. I like this meeting here, trying to take a little pressure off of him, off of Jake. If anything, the pressure now it sits a little bit more on Rutschman behind the plate, because you know he'll go out there and say, look, you got to trust me, have confidence. I'm going to block it. That allows him to bounce if he has to bounce a breaking ball. Ultimately, you don't want to in this situation.
Mulholland last year, 45 innings, only 11 walks, 42 strikeouts. Strikes at a premium right here. Scott McKeon hitting .391 coming in, and he gets ahead in the count 1-0. He's 1 for 4 today. RBI base hit back in that 4-run 5th inning. Either Coastal wins it, or because of the time limit, it ends in a tie. 2 down in the bottom of the 11th inning. Or even at 4. Strike on the outside corner at the knees, 1-1. I'd stay with that pitch, wouldn't you?
I would stay with that fastball. You know, you got to be careful too, and I like the fact that defensively Ducard's playing in. He has to play in case there's a bunt, which could win the game. A roll, you swing over something, you roll over it, you hit a little swing and bunt.
One pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Scott McKeon. Now back to that fastball outside corner at the knees.
Well, I think so, or you come up. I mean, you can raise the fastball at this point. He can waste a pitch, try to get him to be too aggressive and swing it, pop it up, or swing under it. Really hard to lay off that fastball up at the letters.
There's a little bit of danger, though, in this situation in wasting anything, though, because the pressure amps up as you get to ball 2.
Well, yeah, but I still think in this particular count, as a hitter, you know, you're trying to be aggressive. You're going to expand your zone. Fastball up in the zone. I think he'll chase. I think you can go down and away, maybe just off the corner of the plate. Not sure that I trust home plate umpire zone right now for Joe Burleson to call that pitch on the outside corner out there, but.
Bases loaded, 2 down, bottom of the 11th inning, and a 4-4 tie. Will this game end in a tie?
What I probably
Coastal winning the walk-off.
Yeah, Rich, what I probably wouldn't do would be throw a hard breaking ball down off the plate. That is not what you call for here.
You want to bounce one. Strike 3 called. McKeon goes down looking. And this game ends in a 4-4 tie. For the 2nd straight year, Oregon State has a game that ends in a tie. There's no tying in baseball.
There should be. Well, I tell you what, you go back, if you're Oregon State, you can go back and pinpoint this on errors, which is really unusual because they've been such a good fielding team. As Pat Bailey calls it, they've been suffocating. Well, today it happened with 2 errors from the pitcher and 1 from behind the plate. Those errors are uncharacteristic, but I think it cost Oregon State today.
Yep. They doubled their errors total for the entire season. They had 4 in 13 games coming in, and they had 4 today. They don't suffer their 2nd loss of the season, but they ended a tie with Coastal Carolina. Now remember, we have more baseball coming your way. We'll be back with you in about 45 minutes. It'll be Washington against Minnesota in the 2nd game of our doubleheader. Rich Burk along with Kevin Stalker. For our entire crew, we invite you to join us again in about 45 minutes. Keep it right there on Pac-12 Network. More programming coming, and then more baseball in a little bit. Minnesota and Washington. That's it for Game 1 as Coastal Carolina and Oregon State end in a 4-4 tie.